just seeing the throw. Shah says he was a fraction away from the stumps. He was pretty close. I'm going to come to an email from Simon from Derby shortly as Naseem Shah is in to Woakes. Woakes drives into the offside square of the wicket and as a result can easily get the run on this occasion. 168 for 7, Woakes to 19. Simon indeed from Derby says, I got into cricket at the start of the World Cup last year. One thing that I just can't understand, whenever Josh Buttler has come to the middle in a test, I've heard commentators excitedly comment on how he could take the game away from the opposition, phrases like away from the stumps. How Buttler could completely change this. These comments are followed inevitably by him being bowled in an often embarrassing manner for not very much. A bit harsh. Today he's done well to survive, but hardly set the world alight, and again gone for not very much. Can someone please explain to me just what the fascination is with this player? I'll come back to the end of this. Naseem Shah, wide outside the off stump, goes through low to the keeper, left alone by Archer, who just doesn't seem to be anywhere near being a good test batsman and isn't a world-class wicket keeper either. Well, I'm not having that. I wouldn't say that. I would say that his batting has in the last few games certainly been quite handy, and he's been in and out of form. He's not got the worst average for if he were a number 7. It's at 32 or so. I think the more germane point might be, are there other options that England are overlooking in favour of Josh Buttler, like Bess and Folks possibly?
Yeah, that's the more I watch Test cricket, the more I realise you need a keeper that can catch the ball, and that's very apparent.
Sorry, Naseem Shah starts a new over to Jofra Archer, who gets a thick edge. It goes through third slip. It's running down towards third man, and they're going to pick up a couple of runs, and the score will advance to 170 for 7. Archer to 6. You come back to the theory that wicketkeepers need to catch the ball, Michael, and I'm going to make way for Simon Mann.
Yes, the keeper of the modern game clearly has to contribute with the bat. It's so important. You need 20 wickets to win a test match. Chances have to be taken. Look at someone like Tim Payne for Australia. What was the average, Andy? About 28, something like that. Takes every single opportunity, or seems to. He doesn't drop too many.
Here's Naseem bowling to Archer, and Archer's forward, thick edging that along the ground down into the gully, and there is no run. 170 for 7. Pakistan with a very firm grip on this test match. It's going to need something remarkable from England's lower order here if they're to get themselves back in the game. They're 156 runs behind on a pitch that's offered plenty of spin, and there's variations in Pakistan attack as well, which is going to clearly put pressure on England in their second innings.
Payne averages 31.6 in tests, only 750s, but quite consistently productive with useful scores.
Yes, the 31 batting at 7. I think if your keeper bats at 6, he has to average a few more than that, but I'd take an average of 30 at 7, take every opportunity.
Archer on 6. Naseem bowls to him, and Archer just gets the bat down in time. There's an appeal for LBW. I think about a quick single as well, and neither is there, neither the LBW nor the single. And Naseem went to the ball and picked it up just as he was realising that Archer was thinking about it. That's twice now there's been some confusion between these two bowlers. They've now been asked to dig the team out of a very big hole with the bat.
That's the first ball really for a while from Naseem Shah that's kind of whipped back into Jofra Archer. He hasn't been doing a great deal. He was getting excited because he started to appeal because he thought the ball had just flicked the pad first, but it hadn't. Came off, I'd say the middle of Jofra's bat, but it was right off the face.
Something we've just seen on our screen. Chris Woakes has been having some treatment. We talked about this yesterday, didn't we, about diving on this Old Trafford square and on the wicket ends. Chris Woakes diving to make his ground on that near run out in the previous over, has taken some skin off his elbow. I think he's had some, is it iodine they put on it?
Or Friars Bolson, is it?
I'm not quite sure.
Bolson, it's that orangey, browny stuff, so it's a stinger.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing. If it's ever happened to you, you'll know.
I tell you what,
skin off.
The worst place is on your hip, because you have to obviously sleep on your hip at night, and you stick to the sheets.
Seeing the run out opportunity again on our monitor. If it hit, I think he would have been out. It's 170 for 7. So Woakes is putting his gloves back on, and he's going to take strike from Yasir Shah, who's been the main man for Pakistan this afternoon. Contrast those two spells after lunch, yesterday and today. Pakistan winning them both. Here is Yasir bowling, and Woakes plays firmly back to the bowler, and there's no run. But yesterday, England's spinners couldn't make any impact at all, actually rather released the pressure. Today, Pakistan's spinner has bolstered the strength of their position in this game. 170 for 7. Woakes on 19. Moves quietly forward.
He'll be tempted to dance down and try and hit one over Yasir Shah's head. Mid-off's just slightly deeper. He's there really halfway to the boundary, so if you get it, you'll be fine hitting it over the top.
Woakes waits. Yasir bowls to him. That's a sharply spinning leg spinner that Rizwan takes away to his right-hand side, almost on line with the return crease.
Well, he's just getting into a rhythm here, Yasir Shah. It's taken him a while. He's got 3 wickets and he hasn't bowled that well.
This afternoon, though, he's barely bowled a bad ball. Here he is. Bowls to Woakes, and Woakes is bowled. That one kept a bit low, but it went through quickly off the pitch. And Woakes was back and looking to play it into the leg side. And Yasir's got another one. 170 for 8. Woakes is out for 19. That was the one that goes straight on.
Yeah, he just went to pull it and it zipped through. It's too quick for him. Clever bowling. Mid-wicket was back on the boundary, so he was just trying to punch it into that gap. Beautiful bowling. Yeah, he's been so much better since lunch. I don't know whether he'd had a little chat with Mushtaq Ahmed, Pakistan spin bowling coach, but he's got the Jimmy Anderson end, which is a change from where he was bowling in the morning session, and he's bowled beautifully. Woakes goes for 19. He played better than we've seen him play in Test cricket for a while. 170 for 8. They trail by 156. I'm thinking Headingley last year. That's where my mind's triggered to. Simon, it's going to take some kind of effort, isn't it, to get anything out of this Test match from here with the pitch doing what we're seeing.
Yeah, the Headingley pitch wasn't doing as much, was it?
No, it quietened down. There was spin though. Nathan Lyon was spinning it, so when England set out for that chase, and I think they was probably having to chase something similar. I don't think any of us gave them any chance at all. So you never know, but this Pakistan seam attack haven't really got the rewards that they deserve. I think the seamers have been magnificent for Pakistan. And England have done well to only lose 4 wickets to them.
Yasir Shah 3 for 4 in 4 overs and 4 balls since lunch. And in his previous test at Old Trafford, in the 2 innings combined, he had 1 for 263 and 59 overs.
Well, here he comes to Gary.
Well, Stuart Broad played that remarkable innings against West Indies on this ground not so long ago. And he had licence, basically. I suppose in a sense he's got licence now to go for it. Everyone else has failed.
So much easier when your team are on top.
Well, that's right. Archer has started well at the other end. He's only faced 15 balls, but he has been a very sketchy starter in Test cricket. He shapes like a player who should get a few more runs than he does. And his first-class average when he came into Test cricket suggested that as well. He's got 6 half-centuries, but there's been very little from him in Test cricket with the bat so far. There was one innings in New Zealand when they were looking to save the game on the final day where he played very well. He batted for a while and then was caught on the deep backwards square leg boundary. Here is Yasir to bowl to Stuart Broad, and Broad is propping forward, playing it defensively back up the pitch, and almost from nowhere here, Yasir's on a fifer.
Yeah, when's the sweep coming? It's coming, isn't it? Broad out in the middle, 45 catcher, short leg, an orthodox slip, so the sweep's available. It's coming.
Generally speaking, leg spinners are less effective against left-handers.
No ball. Last minute.
Is that front foot or back foot? I think earlier on I thought he might have bowled a back foot no ball, where your foot touches the return crease. Yasir goes in and bowls. Broad again props forward to a full delivery. Back the offside of the pitch, and there's no run. 171 for 8. Pakistan here sensing a huge first innings lead. I know a big first innings lead on a flat pitch, but a massive lead on a...
They might rely on the Manchester weather this week. Can sometimes get a bit cloudy here, can't it, Simon?
Occasionally.
Every now and again.
Occasionally. Yasir bowls tossed up, Broad again forward, playing it defensively into the offside. Yasir picks up, Broad playing that very cautiously. So he's survived 3 balls there. It's 171 for 8. And Yasir has taken 4 for 46 from 14 overs, but the feature of his bowling this afternoon, there have been no freebies at all. Earlier in his spell, there have been an old bad ball that you can just release some pressure. You at least get a single or...
Well, I reckon Pakistan would have been concerned, Simon, with the way that he bowled last night and the way that he started today. I think there was... you only had to look at the field setting when Chris Woakes went out there to bat. When you think Woakes' record in Test cricket of late is poor, Yasir Shah had a deep mid-wicket, a square leg on the boundary, cover point in the boundary. There was no short leg to Chris Woakes, which gave me the indication that he's really struggling for confidence. And what he's found in the last half an hour is a different end, but he's found a little bit of consistency, and he's picked up 3 wickets because of it. Last thing England need is the leg spinner to find confidence in a series like this, because I'm sure the Aegeus bowl will be quite dry. Saw that against Ireland in the first 2 one-days in particular. Plenty of spin for Rashid.
Shaheen Afridi back into the attack from the Statham end, goes in now, bowls to Archer, who cuts that away. Very well stopped, or half stopped at backward point by Shan Masood. As Archer connected with that one, it was a nice looking shot, but he only got a single for it.
They've been very impressive, Simon, Pakistan. Everything about the way that they've operated all week. Obviously batting to start with, they've looked agile and athletic in the field. It was Agaz on day one. We just mentioned their warm-ups and we just looked down and thought, wait a minute, they look like a team that is well prepared, this Pakistan. All right, they've not played the 3 test matches like England have done, but looks to me like the warm-up games that they've played has been competitive. You only have to look at the players that aren't playing. They train on the pitch at night doing fielding drills and fitness. Whoa, they work them hard. I was playing a bit of table tennis out to the right. They were still going last night.
Were they?
Yeah, they were still working hard, taking high balls, doing a bit the shuttle runs.
72 for 8. There's Shaheen bowling way down the leg side to Stuart Broad. Rizwan dives across to take it. I suppose the only thing you would say about that, it's not a great deal else to do, is there? I mean, it does give you a chance to concentrate on your cricket skills.
So you're doing a few laps this morning, Simon, around the ground with your big headphones on. You've got old school, those headphones, aren't they?
They're like the ones I'm wearing at the moment. Well, I think
they're your kids, are they? Massive.
I discovered that actually, if you're going to run around this Old Trafford ground, you've really got to have some distraction to take your mind off it, because it is a bit soulless.
Yeah, I reckon I can talk you through every single car.
Here is Shaheen Afridi, bowls to Broad, gives himself a bit of room, plays it into the onside. He sets off the single, then goes back because Archer's not interested. He's leaning on his bat at the non-strikers end, because there wasn't a single there. Broad wants to get off the mark.
Shake of the head there from Stuart Broad. He's not happy with Jofra. Jofra's going down for a conversation. Stuart Broad talked about the way that he's looking to bat in Test match cricket, give himself a bit of space on the leg side, open up the offside.
Yeah, Archer not interested there. He didn't. I mean, it was a tight one. Broad wanted it, Archer didn't. The problem for, I suppose, for Archer is when it's driven back, you instinctively go back. You might be in danger of being run out at your end. Shaheen bowls, Broad takes his off his hip down towards the fine leg boundary, and that has it been stopped in the distance? No, it's gone for 4. There's a diving attempt to stop it from Mohammad Abbas, and he couldn't get down. It was a really sort of traditional fast bowler's attempt, that, Mohammad Abbas.
Yeah, good point, that, Simon. I did mention that Pakistan have been very agile and athletic in the field. There is one exception, and understandably, Mohammad Abbas, he's just a bowler. He just bowls brilliantly. The field every now and again. Yeah, that was an awkward dive, wasn't it?
Yeah, some would have stopped it, Mohammad Abbas didn't.
No, so don't mind that.
Broad is off the mark. 176 for 8. Archer 7, Broad 4. Shaheen bowls. Using now bowls to Broad. Oh, and Broad gets very lucky there. Thick inside edge, past his leg stump, and Mohammad Abbas is definitely not stopping that one. That was about 10 metres to his left on the fine leg boundary, but a bonus 4 for Broad takes him to 8, and a score to 180 for 8.
He's having one of those streaky times as a batsman, isn't he? It's a little bit going his way. By the way, out of interest, what do you listen to when you're running around? Music or podcast?
I was listening to a podcast called Revisionist History, Malcolm Gladwell.
Riveting.
Very interesting, actually, yeah. It's alternative ways of thinking.
No wonder you were going slow.
I thought I was doing all right, actually. You were just walking.
Yeah, just stroll, yeah. Just like to take in the scenery.
Shaheen bowls. Broad gives himself some room and thrashes this through the offside for 4. Out towards the wide long off boundary. That's the Broad we saw against West Indies on this ground. Playing in unorthodox fashion, moving away from the stumps, opening up the offside. Broad to 12, 3 boundaries in the over. 184 for 8. A long time ago, of course, Stuart Broad made 100 against Pakistan in a test match.
Yeah, I mean, just a first observation to Stuart Broad, they're trying to hit the stumps, which the West Indies didn't do often enough. But also what the West Indies didn't do often enough after Stuart, I think it was Kemar Roach, he punched for 6. It was a waist-high short ball. They didn't bowl him one bouncer. Yeah. You've got to bounce Stuart Broad. 2 and have just got to keep bouncing him. Following him if need be. Just can't make his life just comfortable. That last ball was just a length delivery. He loves it there. Can just swing through the line. Knows most of the fielders behind square. That's too easy for him.
Broad probably thinking, I'd rather be batting out here than bowling.
Yeah.
Might have to bowl again.
Very soon, I would say.
A bit quicker than they would have liked. There's no doubt about that. They had a lot of bowling to do.
Well, with the weather, we'll get a full day in Simon. Can we play till 8 minutes past 7 or something like that?
That's right.
Yeah, it's glorious. Very bright. And
it's the warmest.
It's a hot day.
Yeah, the warmest we've had since we've been in Manchester, 3 weeks or so. Yasir bowls, guided away by Archer towards square cover. It's picked up by Babar Azam. And there is no run. Archer's reined himself in so far. I mean, he does like to play a few shots, but trying to give himself time here to get in. The problem is there are only 2 wickets left. Yasir to Archer, and Archer, this time he does go for it, and up and over. Extra cover. There's a man on the deep cover boundary, so it's only a single. It's a bit like a golf shot, that. When you slice a golf shot?
Yeah. That's exactly what I do on the golf course. So look at the weather now. We're looking at the kind of building to our right is, what's that one called? The Red Rose Suite.
Red Rose Suite, yeah.
A couple of ladies on the balcony. They've got the legs out. They've got a bit of sun cream on. Beautiful day.
It is warm today. 185 for 8.
So there was a couple of Pakistan fans arrived at the tram station earlier. Did you see that?
I didn't. Broad goes for the sweep. There you are. You predicted it. And they go to deep back with square leg, and the throw comes in. The bails are off. There's a appeal for a run out here. It was Shadab onto it quickly. Just sense that Archer may have been ambling to the striker's end.
Umpire to direct it.
I think he's okay. I think he is.
Can I see your best side on angle, please?
I'm going to check it. Let's have a look.
Okay, just roll through. Yeah, keep rolling through.
It's all right.
Okay, bat is grounded. Ready for my decision on the big screen. Decision is not out. Repeat, not out.
Bit casual there, Jofra. Yeah, there's a couple of Pakistan, one with a Pakistan one-day shirt on, and another chap with a drum. A bit of music.
Come to support the side from outside the ground.
Yeah.
Yasir bowls to Archer, goes up and over. Is he going to be caught? No, not quite. It was one of those tantalising ones for Babar Azam, going back from point over his head towards backward point. Shadab was running in as well. Horrible slice from Jofra.
How's that ended up there?
I don't know.
He's tried to launch it into the old pavilion. It's there to hit. Plays across it, he slices it. Just probably 2 yards too far for Azhar Ali.
Was it Azhar or was it Babar? I think, yeah. Here is Broad playing defensively. Yeah, it's Babar Azam there, number 56. He went after it. Broad plays that defensively into the onside. It's 187 for 8. Well, signs here that these two are going to play a few shots. If it comes off, it will be exciting, entertaining. Big if, though. Here's Yasir bowling. Broad goes after it and hits the short leg fielder with a sweep shot. That's Abid Ali there at short leg, and he turned away from it, hit him on somewhere in the back, or on the back of the body anyway. He's limping. It might well have been on the calf muscle. Broad got a hold of that.
Yeah, if you're Jimmy Anderson, I'm sure he will have his helmet and his gloves on now. You'd probably just make your way to the edge of the stairs. The way that they're playing, I don't think it's going to be long. I guess if they can have half an hour of crashing the ball around and it gets another 30 runs, that's what they're trying to achieve. going to be spin from both ends. Shadab Khan, the first time we've seen him.
Yep, he's going to bowl from the Brian Statham end. It's 187 for 8, so England 139 runs behind. From memory, he did play in that Trent Bridge one-day international in the World Cup last year, which Pakistan beat England early on in the competition. A game where both sides made over 300. Buttler made 100 in that game. England just ran out the steam in the closing overs. From memory, I think he had a reasonable effect on the match. Results is having a look. Here is Shadab going into bowl to Archer, who blocked his first ball back up the pitch.
I think your car alarm's going off.
Well, it could be. Yeah. You said you know every car in the car park.
I know most.
Which one is our car? Because we've got a few of us have a higher car. We don't know which one it is. We've forgotten which one it is. Here is Shadab bowling. Forward goes Archer.
I can see the Dayglow security. They're heading towards our cars. Oh, it's stopped now. Someone's broken in.
187 for 8. Archer against Shadab, and Archer clouts this into the offside, and it's gone to the wide long off boundary along the ground mostly for 4 runs. Archer to 13. 191 for 8. Am I right about Shadab?
Yeah, in that World Cup, brilliant World Cup match at Trent Bridge, Pakistan made 348 for 8. Shadab a 3-ball 10 right at the end, undefeated, and then opened the bowling, dismissed Jason Roy for 8, and then took the key wicket of Joe Root, who'd scored 100 and had a partnership with Buttler.
Shadab bowls to Archer. Archer stretches forward, sets off for the shortest single I think I've ever seen attempted in Test cricket. Broad sent him back. There's a short extra recovery and he played it straight to him.
And something about tail-enders, when the top order kind of duo get together and want a quick single, it looks like it's going to work. And the tail-enders start trying to do it, it's carnage, isn't it?
Well, Broad has been run out by half the length of the pitch there. Shadab went in. Archer wasn't quite ready, so Shadab pulled out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men on the boundary.
And if it's up, it's off.
Shadab bowls to Archer, and it's quite full. Archer blocking it back up the offside of the pitch. I mean, this is entertaining. But England need more than a bit of entertainment here. I mean, they need something really serious from this 9th wicket partnership there to get themselves back in the game. They're miles behind. Shadab bowls to Archer. It's a low full toss, which is powered back now. Is this a run out at the non-striker's end?
I don't think
the ball was deflected onto the stumps. It's gone up towards long on. Broad was at the non-striker's end. They are going to check it, but it looks as if Broad hadn't advanced that far.
TV umpire to director. We have an umpire review for a run out. Can we see if he's touched the ball first, please?
I don't think he shifts Stuart Broad. I think he just stays where he's actually it's surprising because most batsmen would have been out of their crease, but look how far back he is.
Yes, he's touched it. So can I see your best side on, please? Okay, foot is on the ground. Okay, ready with my decision for the big screen. My decision is not out. Repeat, not out.
It's extraordinary because Stuart Broad has not backed up at all. You say to youngsters, back up. Broad has not. He's deep in his crease, almost as if he's saying, well, there's no point trying to...
He's a smart player because obviously man-cadded of late, you just stay in your ground, don't you?
Well, it was remarkable that he did not leave his ground at all. 192 for 8. Yasir bowls to Archer. Archer stretches forward, plays defensively into the offside towards short extra cover, picked up by Azhar, and there's no run. How long can they continue this? Archer 14, Broad 13. 1, 2, 3, 4 men on the boundary for Archer facing Yasir Shah, who's on a fifer. Yasir bowls, floats this up. Archer allows it to come to him and then watches it very carefully spin away, and it's taken by Rizwan.
Look at the fielder on the deep point boundary. Just bring him in by 5 yards because he's going to skew one in the air again. Going to go for the big drive.
Yasir bowls to Archer. That one fizzes through as an appeal for a catch behind. Belated appeal. Rizwan is saying, I think he might have nicked that, and they are going to review it. There's not a great deal of conviction out there, certainly not from Yasir Shah, the bowler. Has he got his fifer here?
TV umpire to
Archer's
director.
smiling.
We have a play review for caught behind. On-field decision is not out. It's a fair delivery. So can we move on to front on spin vision, please?
I think Stuart Broad says you're fine, but we'll wait and see.
Okay, doesn't appear to be any bat involved, but can we confirm that with Ultra Edge, please? Just roll it through, nice and slow, flat line. Yeah, clear daylight as the ball passes the bat. Yeah, just keep rolling through. Okay, ready to go back to Richard on field. Richard, stay with your original decision of not out. You're on screen now.
There we go. Well, Pakistan are eating up England wickets and they're losing reviews, but it doesn't matter so much. They need 2 to go now. Well, in theory, it doesn't matter so much. Yasir bowls. Archer goes back. He comes off the pad, I think. Comes down fine. And they go through for 1. Archer wants to come back for the 2nd. I heard Stuart Broad say, no, wait there, but there was a clear 2 there. And 2 leg byes are taken. It was Asad Shafiq who sprinted back from slip to pick it up. Asad who took that good catch to get rid of Bess, diving away to his right. You didn't expect him to catch it. It was a looper, really. As long as he got his feet right, and he did. Looked spectacular. There's some good photographs of it. But you expect the slip fielder to take it. Yasir bowls to Archer. Powers that back down the pitch. Not perfectly timed, but not very well fielded by Yasir away to his left. So Archer gets a single towards the long off boundary. Archer to 15. Broad is on 13 at 195 for 8. This last wicket partnership has been worth 25 so far. And field changes around for the left-handed Broad. 3 close. There was going to be 3 close catches, but they changed their minds. The leg slip is going back. A short, fine leg. 1, 2 men on the leg side boundary. Mid on and mid off are quite deep. Yasir ran the wicket, bowls to Broad. Broad dead bats it back up the pitch. There's no run. It's the end of the over. It's 195 for 8. Action-packed passage of cricket. More from, in fact, I think more from Michael Vaughan. No, it's not. It's Azam Mahmood has joined us. We've got a double change here. Azam Mahmood and Isha Goa.
Extraordinary stuff from these 2 players. They put some 25 runs on the board. Crucial partnership here for England point of view. They want to get a total of around 230, 240. Pakistan is looking for another couple of wickets to finish things off very quickly.
First innings runs so important here at Old Trafford, especially with 2 leg spinners in the Pakistan lineup, the second of which is operating right now from the Brian Statham end. Shadab Khan has come into the attack. Jofra Archer has 2 men back on the leg side, so deep back square, deep mid wicket is Khan is through. Forward in pressing and defending to the offside is Jofra Archer. He's got a deep cover, long off and long on as well, with these 2 looking to be a little bit more aggressive. Archer taps his bat down. Now high as he drives past, extra out to long off for a single, comes through casually. For the 1 as the throw comes in. Archer to 16, then 196 for 8, trailing by 130 then England. Stuart Broad asking for the guard of 2, middle and leg. And a similar sort of field for him as well, except there's no cover. So 3 back on the leg side, long on, deep mid wicket, deep backward square. There's a short fine, no cover, and long off is coming up inside the circle. So encouraging him to hit onto the offside. The leg spinner coming into him. Khan bowls wide of the offside. Ball pushes to the offside and gets his single. Whether it will be a leg bye or not, we'll just see. No, it does get bat on it. Broad goes to 14, sorry. England 197 for 8, trailing by 129. Pakistan right on top here. Azhar?
Yeah, they're right on top here. This is a crucial partnership here, building up. So
there's Khan bowls to archery edges, and they are appealing. It's been given. So catches the outside of the bat as he looks to fend forwards. He will have to walk off for 16. He's not even going to consult Stuart Broad as he heads towards us now. So England now 9 wickets down, and Shadab Khan has his first in the match.
Excellent stuff from Shadab Khan. Spin and a bounce. That's what he does, because he's a slightly taller bowler than Yasir Shah. He get more bounce and a spin on the ball. His alignment is pretty much straight, so that's why he taller action. That's why he get more bounce and spin on the ball.
Archer has a casual look up to the big screen. as he trudges off. Bright sunshine here at Old Trafford. That's where the sun's been. See blue sky, a few clouds dotted around, and it looks glorious now here. There's Stuart Broad is chatting to Zach Crawley, who's brought on a refreshment for him. Pakistan players taking drinks as well. Babar Azam down on one knee, and the batsmen just probably having a think about and preparing themselves for coming out here shortly. With one more wicket required, England trailing by 129 then. Kevin Welsh emails, currently sitting in the garden in Sutton, Surrey, listening to your commentary. The temperature is 35 degrees and I'm sipping a nice cold pint of beer. Don't make us jealous. What a great day to spend the afternoon. Although the cricket could be a lot better. Yes, absolutely, Kevin. From your point of view, from Azhar's point of view, he's delighted.
Yeah, I'm delighted now. I've seen Azhar Ollie signaling outside which roller he has to take, short one or big one. So let's see what the management will say.
What would you say?
I will go with the heavy roller.
As Anderson is now out in the middle, punching Stuart Broad's hand, as he now leans over and gives himself a back stretch. Two members of the 500 club when it comes to bowling in Test cricket. And, well, Stuart Broad, he's going to play his shots, no doubt, but James Anderson will have to get through another two deliveries. So heavy roller?
Yeah, for me, it's heavy roller.
Reasons for that?
Yeah, you don't want to give anything because if you take a heavy roller, pitch is dry, so it's settled down a little bit, and it might be, the next innings if it crack a bit more open quite quickly, and which help the Pakistani two leg spinners.
Shadab Khan then will continue from the Brian Statham end. Andy?
Well, just on the subject of there being two leg spinners, the first time a team has selected two leggies against England in England since Pakistan here in 2006 when they had Shahid Afridi and Danish Canaria, who'd also played the Test at Lords. Before that instance, you have to go back to 1990 when India played Kumble on his Test debut, and Narendra Hawani also at Old Trafford, and before that you're way back to the Intikhab Alam and Mushtaq Mohammad partnership, two all-rounders who bowled leg spin for Pakistan in the 60s and 70s.
I wonder how upset Yasir Shah will be if Shadab Khan gets his final wicket. Will he be?
No, I don't think so, because he's a team man, he's a competitor. Yasir Shah, he wants to do his team to do well.
Well, here comes Khan now, past the stumps, bowls to Anderson, who misses one outside the off stump. There's a drive through the covers, the Burnley Lara. He's got a slip in position, leg slip, short leg. Bowled it wide of the off stump, did Shadab Khan, and it's the googly as well, first ball.
That's the wrong one.
Khan through again, and this time Anderson manages to get on top of it, and they're coming through for a single as the throw is sent in from Rizwan. Stumps are taken, and Broad there's well, I'm not sure if he's got in. They'll probably look at this, will they? Was it given not out? No, they do manage to scramble the single.
Why you want to do that? Huh? Why you want to do that on the last ball? Huh? Broad must be facing here.
That was very strange. So England 198 for 9, and Anderson has taken it upon himself to face up to Yasir Shah, who's on 4 wickets and bowling beautifully.
Maybe he's backing himself to take on Yasir Shah here. Extraordinary decision from these two.
Well, there was a real stutter as Anderson played the ball to the offside. He looked up, hesitated. Stuart Broad would have done the same and then called him through. So, I mean, this is a situation as it stands. Anderson taking his guard, men around the bat, wide open space on the offside, backward point in a mid-off, no one else in between them, as Yasir Shah's going to operate around the wicket from the James Anderson end, bowling to Anderson, who defends and covers the ball to the leg side and runs a short leg, just whip it as he comes through. Man out at deep square, short fine, who's actually probably 10 metres back from the inner circle, mid-wicket and mid-on as Shah is through. Anderson defends. I think it hits the pad as it falls to the floor.
Look at that Yasir's pace here, 49, 51, the last one. That's the pace he wants to bowl, and that's the line and length. Yeah, he got confidence, got wickets.
Comes through quickly here past the umpire. Reverse sweep from James Anderson. It beats slip, it beats short third, and Naseem Shah is chasing the ball down to the boundary, but it will be a four for Anderson, who goes to 5, and that's 200 up for England, 202 for 9. That's what he wanted to do all along.
Jimmy got his reverse sweep from his bag. Excellent shot. That's why he wants to take a single. Well done, Jimmy.
Brilliant. So short third has actually just moved slightly finer as Shah bowls. Anderson looks to get deep into his crease and play it leg side. Misses it. Lots of turn for Shah as it goes through to Rizwan. Down the leg side. And casually walks back to the top of his mark, towel protruding from the back of his trousers. Yasir Shah spins himself a catch, bowling around the wicket to the left-handed Anderson, who defends forwards. It pops up and falls safely down the wicket. Right smile on the face of Anderson.
Good stuff from Yasir. A lot of rough to work with against left-hander.
Anderson taps his bat down, forward press, and works it in front of short leg. Good leg delivery on around middle and off. It turns into him. And that is the end of the over. He's managed to survive and pick up a 4, 202 for 9. And England to reach parity, 124 runs. Well, it's just about edging as close as they possibly can. And Shadab Khan will continue from the Brian Statham end.
Yeah, I think Azhar is speaking to him. I think he will bowl a lot more googlies in this over. He will ask Broad to hit against the spin. We can see the field here. Slip, short third man, and mid off, long on, back here.
He's going to bowl over the wicket. Shadab Khan. Broad pushes to the offside, is called to. The bowler is sprinting after it. Turn and throw. Anderson to the danger end. And it's a misfield from the captain, who's right next to the stumps. He now signals to the stumps saying that actually it was a poor throw from Shadab Khan. Well, he might have been able to pick that up a bit better, actually. Oh, it was so close. In fact, it was nearly a direct hit.
So close.
Anderson diving to get in. They do manage to get the 2. So England 204 for 9. Broad to 16. And they've just sent short third out to the boundary. Slip and short leg in position. Loads of space on the offside. Packed leg side field as Broad defends back down the pitch. The leg spinner. It's almost as if he was coming forward searching for the googly. Now a change of angle as Shadab will come around the wicket as Broad just remarks his guard, adjusts his gloves and sets himself up once more. Shadab bowls. Broad covers to the offside. There's a look up to say, shall we take the single? The call is no from Anderson.
Broad is backing Anderson here.
He is. He wants to see a few more reverse sweeps. Here comes Khan again. Through his action. A bit flatter edges. Falls in front of slip. The call is... And the appeal is for LBW as well from Rizwan. And they're going to go for the review. It's given not out. There's a look up. One more left for Pakistan. The single.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review for LBW. On-field decision is not out. It's a fair delivery. Can we have front on spin vision, please?
So this is just to see if there's any bat involved. That is a googly from around the wicket. In fact,
Okay, nothing conclusive there. We'll have Ultra Edge when available, please.
is there any edge?
Thank you.
Is there any bat on it? Nothing conclusive.
Just waiting for Ultra Edge.
I don't think so. Clear.
Ultra Edge will tell us for sure. We're just waiting, and there's a rock and roller.
Roll through, please. All the way through, past the bat to flat line. Keep going through, all the way to the pad, please.
So no bat
no
involved.
bat involved, so ball tracking when available, please.
So now they'll determine whether this is out LBW.
Pitching in line, impact is in line. And it's umpire's call and hitting the wickets. So stay with your original decision of not out, Richard. I'll let you know when you're on screen. You're on screen now.
Bail trimmer going on to hit the bails.
It was good delivery, from that angle, bowling a wrong one, and umpire call save him. Excellent stuff from Shadab Khan.
That's incredible skill, isn't it, to be able to do that around the wicket?
Yeah, that's the different angle and variety he delivered.
Broad. Forward press, back in his crease, works it to mid-wicket, no run. One more ball left then for Broad, but the way he's been going, he's happy for Anderson to face the next over. There's Khan. Comes through, Broad on the back foot, working it to short fine. They push the single, and that is the end of the over. England's 205 for 9, the deficit 121, Broad 17, Anderson on 5, as they come together again.
Shadab only bowled 3 over, then we saw so much, leg spin, googly, and the quicker one as well. So he will be handy in the 4th innings.
Yasir Shah will continue in search of his 17th 5-wicket haul. This is just his 40th Test match. Incredible stats.
Incredible stat, more than 200 wicket, fastest, reaching to 200 mark. He's exceptional talent, and a team man. You always see him smiling, whether fielding, bowling.
So he's going to come around the wicket to Broad now, who swipes across the line out to deep mid-wicket, goes over the man out there. It's Shan Masood, and Broad will pick up 6. Goes to 23, 211 for 9.
Extraordinary shot. Pick up his spot with the spin. Doesn't matter filter is there or not. He just cleared the rope. Excellent stuff.
Hang time in the air for Shan Masood, reaching up with his left hand as Shah comes through again, and again it's high in the air, this time to deep backward square. This should be taken, and Shadab Khan has dropped it. The leg spinner has dropped the leg spinner, and hands in head for Yasir Shah. That was an opportunity for a 5-fer. It goes into the rope.
You can't do that, Shadab Khan. He's one of the best fielder in Pakistan lineup, I think. Straight in and out. Oh.
Yeah, it falls inside the rope, so it will be 4. Broad to 27 then, as he comes forwards and pushes to the offside towards cover. Comes back for 2 as Rizwan has the ball in his hand and throws it in. So Broad now to 29. England 217 for 9. There was so much pressure on that catch, Azhar.
I don't think so.
From one leg spinner to another.
No, he will take it all the time. I think he was not wearing the sunglasses. Maybe he can. I can't see the sun here, but
I know it's disappeared behind the clouds once more. As Shah comes through, and another swipe from Broad. He's through the shot. It hits him on the body and kicks it away now.
These are very important runs for England, and anything on the 4th inning, any single figure is very important on the 4th innings.
Broad defending, looking to push it to the offside, but it finds its way to mid-wicket, the inner part of the bat. No run. Reminder, you can watch all the highlights of today with our video clips on the BBC Sport website and app. And Today at the Test is on BBC 2 from 7, or available on the iPlayer at any time. Broad back in his crease, working it to short leg. That was slightly quicker from Yasir Shah at the end of the over then. And England are 217 for 9, Anderson 5, Broad on 29. A few more words from you, Azhar, and then it will be Jonathan Agnew.
Stuart Broad averaging 102 in last 3 test matches. Brilliant stuff from him after drop in first test match against West Indies. Since then he's been bowling really well, he's taking wickets, and now when England need runs, and he is doing with the bat as well. So
Curious bowling change this. If there's 2 bowlers, you said Stuart Broad, who would you most like to face out there? He'd come up with these 2. And the wrist spinners are spinning the ball into him. He doesn't like the fast stuff, we know that. They bowled one over with the left arm quickie at him and took him off. I find it very surprising, I must say, because he's hitting with the spin. And he's got to 29 now from 25 balls. And England are still 109 behind. Let's see what happens with Shadab here. There's 3 men round the bat as he bowls to Anderson. It goes to the reverse sweep. Mistimes it horribly. The ball dribbles away a few yards into the offside, and nothing is done. 217 for 9. Rizwan was there very quickly to field.
because both the spinner pick up the wickets. Yasir got 4, Shadab got 1 on his 3rd over.
Yes. He goes Shadab again, round the wicket, bowls, and there's a low full toss, which is scooped away by Anderson. A bit of a misfield there at mid-off. They might come back for the second. They do. They profit from that. And Pakistan just losing the plot here a little bit. A very easy catch put down in the deep. And you can hear there a bit of a rallying cry going up. Yeah. Come on, boys, concentrate. Shadab again. Bowls to Anderson against the reverse sweep, appeals leg before wicket, and he's given out. And Anderson's reviewing it. It was a quicker ball, it was full. He went for the reverse sweep again.
To director, we have a play review for LBW. On-field decision is out. It's a fair delivery, so front on spin vision, please.
So straight to the business end. See if he got anything on this. James Anderson reviewed it straight away, as if he was confident this isn't going to be given out, but we'll see.
Okay, nothing conclusive from that at the moment. Can I have Ultra Edge 1 available, please?
So it's hard to see from the angle we're given there if the ball's hit the bat or not.
Okay, thank you. Just waiting for Ultra Edge. Okay, roll through very slowly, please. Okay, keep rolling through. Yeah, next frame. Yeah, clear daylight. Keep going through, please.
Nothing on that.
Yeah, keep going through all the way to the pad, please. Yeah, it's pad first, so ball tracking while available, please.
Just the question now of where this landed and what it's hitting. It landed in line.
Pitching in line, impact in line. It's hitting the wickets, Richard. So stay with your original decision of out. I'll let you know when you're on screen. You're on screen now, Richard.
So 219 all out in the 71st over with Anderson. LBW to Shadab. But some useful runs added there by Stuart Broad, who's marching off, peeling off his gloves. And the scoreboard hasn't actually told me what he's got, but 29 or thereabouts.
29 off 25 balls.
It was strong and again from Shadab. Excellent stuff. Jimmy wants to play the reverse sweep, which he played over before.
He likes that shot. He's sort of get out of jail shot for against the spinners. It's tough to do against a wrist spinner. And despite that little flurry there, there's still some big smiles on the faces of Pakistan's fielders as Yasir Shah leads them off. And England have got some work to do because there are 107 runs behind. Yasir Shah finished with 4 for 66 and Shadab 2 for 13 at the end. Stuart Broad 29 not out from 25 balls. But England's 219 still gives a big advantage to Pakistan. There's plenty of spin out there. And, there's Bess and Root in the England lineup. But that you'd think they've been outgunned by Yasir and Shadab. And that fine pace bowling too. The quick bowlers took 4 wickets between them, but they were awkward, they were quick, they were threatening. And then the spinners took the wickets. Yasir from that far end finding a lot of spin. So Buttler made 38 after Pope was the first out for 62. Woakes 19, Bess 1, Archer 16. Anderson was the last man out for 7.
Massive lead of 107 runs in first innings.
Yeah.
And looking at that, Shadab only bowled 4 overs and managed to get 2 wickets. and I think the spin twins bowl really well here, and it will be handy for Pakistan on the fourth innings.
Well, if they can get an overall lead of 250, they'll definitely. I think they'd think that's enough to win the game. Shadab 3.3 overs, 2 for 13. Yasir Shah 18 overs, 2 maidens, 4 for 66. And the quick bowlers, Shaheen 1 for 51. Abbas 2 for 33 from 15 overs, 6 maidens, as metronomic as ever. And Naseem Shah, the young fast bowler, 1 for 44 from 16 overs of it was box office hostility, really. Bowled very quickly, that beautiful action of his. So yes, but that 107 you feel is actually 160 in a normal
4 for 66
situation of a test match. This pitch is doing more at this stage for 51.
Yeah,
Abbas 2 for 33.
Massive lead,
15 overs, 6 maidens,
looking at the pitch, looking at the bowling attack Pakistan had, it's
1 for
massive
44
lead. But now this is the time for batsmen again to go and put some runs on the board and give bowler enough chance to get England test wicket in the fourth innings. So I can see the heavy roller here, and that's what I said before. If I was there, I would take the heavy roller, because it will settle the pitch down, and later on you will see more, because sun is out, so you can see the more cracks opening on the fourth and fifth days of test match.
Yes, the rollers arrived. You can hear it trundling into view down there at the far end. They're laying out sort of black carpet for it, just to dry up the actual rollers themselves. Perhaps there's still a bit of damp out there on the outfield. They're making sure that none of that moisture is in any way remotely carried on to the pitch itself. So lots of polishing and rubbing and drying going on before the big old machine is let loose onto the pitch itself. Steve O'Shaughnessy will come out and make sure that everything is done as precisely as it should be. Ground staff waiting there with the usual array of equipment, large pole, bucket of paint and that sort of thing. So all the normal stuff that happens between innings. I can see out there bowling one Dom Bess, but another I can see with his hair swept back and heavily tattooed right arm. I see Ben Stokes loosening up, and well, that's an interesting development, possibly. Mark Ramprakash. I mean, it's a big lead, but I wonder if Stokes is going to have a bowl.
Well, I would say that Ben would not be too happy with his batting contribution, and as knowing him, he's such an up and at them, guy who wants to be in the game. He's probably put his hand up to help out with the workload. The seamers got through roughly around 20 overs. England have not batted that long for those guys to recover. So, knowing Stokesy, I think he's thinking, well, to bowl now. Of course, what England will have to weigh up is, if he does bowl, is he putting himself in jeopardy of re-injury?
Yes, because that would be for the series then, wouldn't it? If he did something now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dom Bess as well, warming up. He's got a big role to play at some point.
Strikes me as a sort of bowler who'll relish it, though. He's a competitive fellow. But Stokes is certainly going through his paces there. He looks to be bowling more or less as you'd expect him to from a practice strip situation. Bit of pace there, but Woakes also coming out. But this is it's almost what England had to do. They've got to bowl Pakistan out very cheaply here.
Yeah, and if Shan Masood bats a period of time, you'd have thought that Bess would be really important to come into the attack and try and create some problems for the left-hander, as he did in the first innings. He bowled some terrific deliveries. You're right, he is a willing worker, and he's a young spinner who's going to learn so much through this experience of bowling to Babar Azam in the first innings, who played him so well. I'm sure that he would, and the England coaching staff will have reflected on what happened in that first innings, the sorts of fields that they had, and the sort of line that Dominic bowled, and they really need to be clear in how they're going to go about restricting Pakistan in this second innings, because clearly there's an emphasis on trying to control the run rate,
Yes.
And a lot will depend on Pakistan's attitude and how proactive they want to be. They may come out and say, well, actually, we're only just going to bat and pick up on what's on offer. But, I'd say for Dominic Bess, his role is I wouldn't want him bowling too far outside the off stump, because that way you can get hit both sides of the wicket. Whereas if he's on the stumps with a predominantly leg side field to the right-handers, that way he should be able to control the run rate a little easier.
How do you assess England's first innings, Marcus, from your batting coach perspective?
Well, I think there's always a balance to be had where you give credit to the opposition, and Pakistan were on the money with their new ball attack. Shaheen cleaning up Burns' first over. It's never easy, your first few balls. It was a decent delivery, but Rory has this tendency to go across the crease where his bat and his head are outside off stump, so anything that's on the stumps, he tends to come across the line. Now, normally he hits it for runs, and he actually clipped a 4 through mid-wicket, but that one he missed. And Dom Sibley, quite similar actually, in that balls on the stumps, normally they back themselves to hit, but it was a good piece of bowling by Abbas, who found some seam movement. So there were some good balls mixed in there, but as a group, clearly it's not been good enough. And I think the concern would be someone like Joe Root, who batted over 50 deliveries. I thought he was just getting himself in, and then he made a poor decision. So that was much more batsman error, in my opinion. You can be shot out, anyone can be shot out very quickly in their first few deliveries, but Joe, I think the team would have been looking for him to try and build on that solid start that he had and play a substantial innings. But the shining light was clearly Pope, and Josh Buttler, I thought, fought valiantly and tried to play a genuine test match innings in difficult circumstances, and he batted the first session very, very well, played lots of good defensive shots, picked up what was on offer. But of course, as we know, it only takes one slight error in judgment. You're up against such top-class bowling, and credit to Yasir for bowling that top spinner that just broached his defences. So whether that will be enough, of course he may well still have a second innings, Josh Buttler, but whether that's enough for the England selectors to feel that he's still the man to finish the series with the gloves, well, remains to be seen.
Well, the umpires have arrived already, but the heavy roller has actually only just now completed its mission, and it's now heading off. And this is a heavy roller, plus quite a bit, because there's some quite large little ballast tanks attached to the back of the roller, so there's a lot of weight going through that. But off it goes. I don't know how old that grand old lady is, but she's heading off over the boundary edgings over to our left hand side. We parked up for a while, but the usual green and the red rollers heading off at a decent speed over there. I must say, we come past all the groundsman's machinery below us on our way to work every day. Extraordinary assortment of mechanical devices down there at his disposal that are housed underneath us. Off goes the roller, that lovely purring sound. England take the field, and they've got to hit the ground running here. They're walking out quite slowly at the moment. Some whirling of arms going on. Pakistan's openers are walking out alongside them. So we'll have Messrs Abid Ali and Shah Masood, who of course made 156 in Pakistan's first innings. Must be an amazing feeling actually going out there to bat a second time, but if knocked up that sort of score in the first innings. Do you walk out there just feelings if you're carrying on, I wonder, or do you have to start again?
I suppose it depends on the character of the player, really, but it's always a little dangerous to try and think that it's just a continuation of the same innings. And the fact is, he's up against two class performers in Broad and Anderson with their new ball, so he can't expect to have things all his own way.
Yeah. They've got to bowl a bit fuller at it with this new ball than they did at the start of the first innings. A couple of things coming out. There's an ICC meeting going on at the moment. So far, what appears to be the case, as you can imagine, there's a lot of scheduling and rescheduling going on because of the current situation. So the Women's World Cup that was scheduled for New Zealand in 2021 has been postponed to 2022. And then there's a question of whether the postponed 2020 men's T20 would be postponed until next year or the following year, but it looks as if the 21
T20 World Cup will remain in India, and the postponed one from this year will be in Australia in 22. So I suspect, as all of these things, it's going to be pretty flexible and that things will change. But that's what's coming out of Dubai at the moment. And here we are, ready to go for the afternoon session of this first test match, with Pakistan leading by 107, and Anderson bowls the first ball, and Masood, as he did so often in the first innings, this allows that to go by outside the off stump. So he's tall, he's left-handed. We saw a lot of him over the first couple of days, and Abid Ali made 16 in the first innings. England got 3 slips. It's that balance that Root has to now juggle, in that he's obviously desperately needs wickets, but he can't also allow Pakistan to get off to any sort of a flyer here. So there's 3 men in the leg side. Anderson from the far end moves in and bowls, plays and misses, and that's the length we're bowling early on. A little bit fuller than we saw in the first innings, and Masood doesn't get onto that front foot early on. He does when he gets going, but there he played from the crease, very nearly edged that through to Buttler. Very close. Nice start for Anderson. He's got a gentle breeze blowing from left to right as we look at it, so it's assisting his outswinger to the right-hander. Up he comes and bowls, and Masood's away, clipping it hard, but he's not away. He hit it straight to Pope, actually. It was at square leg, but he did middle that, absolutely. Hit it like a rifle shot to square leg.
It looked like a man who's just got 150, didn't it?
It did. He just saw the ball coming down like a football again. Beautifully timed. It is very strong off there, and off the hip as well, as we saw in his first innings. So they lead 107. Anderson over the wicket, bowls to him, and he feels for this little hit round about the off stump. A little bit short. This is where he likes it. He can play it from the crease. Sibley's the fielder at cover. Stuart Broad goes through all the loosening up motions at mid-off at the moment with his bandana on. More useful runs. Smashing the leg spinner to the leg side. He was dropped. Useful 29 runs. Broad watches as Anderson is rushing up again. Oh my word, that's very unusual. James Anderson, it wasn't called a wide, but it might have been on other days, fired that straight to first slip. Must have been trying something, and the ball has slipped out of his hand. But that would have woken Joe Root up a little bit.
He's an amazing athlete, isn't he, Jimmy Anderson? I mean, when you think he's 38,
yes.
He's just done 20 overs in the first innings. He's racing in with a new ball here. Do you have, fast bowlers union and all that, do you have a bit of sympathy for the bowlers, when they've done a lot of bowling in the first innings and then shot out quite quickly?
You might meet up after the day and say, bad luck. Anderson again bowls, that's a better length, and turned into the onside by Masood. Is picked up by Pope, and that ends the first over. But you're also quite enjoying their misery as well, don't you? End of the first over then. The lead is 107. More from Mark Ramprakash and then Dan Norcross.
Well, it looks as though Stuart Broad will be taking the new ball in tandem with Jimmy Anderson. So nothing untoward there, and a pretty run-of-the-mill field with 2 slips and this fine gully that England like to employ. Rory Burns there, he's probably about 4.5 slip. I guess that's just trying to cover all bases, really. If it flies through the gap, of course, people will say, well, why haven't you got a 3rd slip instead of this fine gully? But they're just trying to guess with the pace of the pitch roughly where they think it may go. 3 in the covers with Jofra Archer at mid-on, and that's Ollie Pope having a chat with Richard Inningworth at square leg. Just making friends with the umpire, never a bad thing to do.
Never a bad thing to do. He's got a bat again, isn't he, in the next innings? Quite handy. Broad is at the top of his mark, wearing that exotic headband. It's all white.
I guess that's
tied at the back.
Trying to cut.
He's averaging 102 with the bat and 12 with the ball this summer. He's in. To the right-handed Abid Ali, who leaves a full ball outside off stump. Lets it go through to the keeper as they run. Quite decent stats for an all-rounder, that. Yes, Andy.
Looking at England's batsman starts to series in their last 11 series, and I'm including the one-off test with Ireland last year. That is the 7th time out of 11 that they've been bowled out for under 220 in their first innings of the series.
That's not a great stat from their point of view, is it?
Suboptimal, I think, is the word these days.
And given that they had 3 test matches to warm up in, it's sort of like the 4th test match of their summer, but it's always the first of a series. Broad in, full, clipped away nicely. Brilliant diving stop by Pope, prevents the ball scurrying to the boundary. It moved a long way to his left from square leg and pounced on the ball like a cat on a mouse. And the Pakistan innings is underway. Abid Ali picks up a single for that and brings the left-handed Shan Masood on strike. I feel like we've spent most of this test match watching Shan Masood back, and he's back batting.
Well, did you notice that when the decision was given out, that he ran off at quite a pace to put his pads on? There's no hint of fatigue there, or he was right up for batting a second time, which is exactly how you want your openers to be.
Well, I guess if you hit 156 in the first innings, you might be feeling in quite decent nick. 2 slips, a gully, backward point, cover, wide mid-off, almost extra cover, Jofra Archer there. It's a wide mid-off, really, and a wide mid-on, saving one. Jimmy Anderson, then around just in front of square, moving, so that Dom Bess, I think, moving closer to square, and a long leg. Broad into the left-handed Masood, who lets this go by outside the off-stump. There's no run, so Mark, the only way England get back into this game is a little bit like the Headingley Test last year against Australia. I don't mean that they require an extraordinary innings from Stokes. I mean, they've got to look to bowl Pakistan out as cheaply as possible. There's no suggestion here, is there, of going on the defensive early, because with a deficit of 107 already. It's a no ball. Just been informed that was a no ball from Broad. So 1 more to the total, 2 without loss outside the off stump. Dies on Buttler and then goes through his gloves and runs away down to the boundary for 4 byes. You won't be happy with that, Buttler. It did die on him, in fairness, but was a little untidy as it went through his gloves. 4 more to the total, 6 without loss. Yeah, Mark, I'm just trying to, the plan here has got to be attack, hasn't it, to get back in the game?
Well, it's been a fairly attritional type of surface. What I mean by that is it's not been 3 and 4 slips and a gully and short legs and stuff like that. The pitch is fairly slow. It's not the first time we haven't seen a ball carry to the wicketkeeper, so there has been some uneven bounce there, and England have got 3 in the covers to protect that offside. So it's a fairly attritional sort of difficult balance for Joe Root. You're right, he can't over-attack.
Broad in, worked into the onside. Think about a single, it's not there as Anderson moves to his left from mid-on to field. I suppose on the plus side for the captain, the England bowlers this summer have tended to target the stumps, and for that you don't then really need to worry too much about having a 3rd or 4th slip in, do you? It's not like they're sort of looking to get the nick-offs ball after ball. They tend to be bringing the ball back into the batsman quite a fair bit, and with the pitch not, as you say, bouncing too much, that does bring the stumps more into play, I guess.
And they're good at that. Broad and Anderson are good at adjusting to these types of surfaces and straightening their line to bring the stumps into play.
Here is Broad round the wicket, edged, or played with an angled bat, I should say, really, by Masood into the backward point region where it is fielded by Pope, no run.
This is not the area, though, where England have to work hard. The new ball will be delivered on a good line and length pretty much most of the time. It's when the ball gets a bit older, we have to bring the spinner into the attack, and how we manage to have an in-out field for the spinner that gives control but also wicket-taking threat. That will be a key part of the game, and how the Pakistanis in turn, what is their attitude to play facing Dominic Bess? How aggressive will they be?
Broad in. Masood down the leg side, gets the edge of that, and he's gone. Yes, he looked to glide that down the leg side, would you believe it? 156 in the first innings, a duck in the second, a wicket for Broad, crucial breakthrough for England. Shan Masood, it was on his sort of between knee, thigh, hip area. He looked to just turn it round, and you could hear that woody sound. Sometimes with those you think that might be the thigh pad, but it just sounded like a bat. It was a long way from his body, and Buttler made no mistake, moving to his right, throws a ball up with glee into the sky, And Pakistan have lost their first wicket. They're 6 for 1.
Well, what a game this is. What a leveller. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, he batted so well in the first innings, and a very average delivery from Stuart Broad. And, you could hear the nick from here, couldn't you, really? It was a solid deflection, and he has to depart. So he's full of confidence, and, that's why I take up golf, you see. If you play a bad hole, you've still got 17 left.
Andy, you're going to give me a stat on people who've got 150 and then naught.
Yes, Shan Masood is the first player to do that in England. A first innings 150 and then a second innings duck. Billy Murdoch of Australia in the first ever test in England in 1880 had a duck, then 150. Shan Masood is the 22nd player in all tests to get 150, then a duck. 12 players have a duck, then 150 plus score. Only 2 players have a 150 plus, then a duck against England, both out of this country. Clem Hill, 188 and naught at the MCG in 1898.
Remember it well.
And innings you might remember better, Shoaib Malik, 245 and a duck. That's the highest score ever by someone who's also got a duck in a test match. That was in Abu Dhabi in October 2015.
Can I just say, sometimes you make things look effortlessly easy. That I was going to ask you, and I expected you to have to rummage around for. I did not think that you would have that to hand. How did you even know to think that might happen?
Just a hunch.
That is superb from you. I think that is my fast stat of the day. Start of a new over, Anderson in, and played and missed. Maybe no. I think maybe Abid Ali just played after the ball had gone through. I don't know. I need to see it again. Bowling's coming towards us, but it was in the channel from Anderson. It's gone through to Buttler. The game's moving along at incredible pace. Stan, if you're listening, you said batting got much easier after lunch. Well, England went into lunch at 159 for 5. They've scored 60 for 5, and Pakistan are 6 for 1. So that's 66 for 6 this session. And if it gets difficult after tea, I think the game will be over by lunch tomorrow. Wow. Here comes Anderson into Abid Ali. And he clips this off his pads nicely out through square on the side, just in front of square. It's being pursued by Bess, who slides, picks up, throws. Batsmen come back for 2. 8 for 1. Abid Ali to 3. Azhar Ali has joined him, and Azhar Ali is on a pair. So what are your stats going to be here? I suppose that'll be the duck and 150. You've got that one all in the bag already. If he gets 150.
Sorry, I was looking up some Stuart Broad stats. He keeps taking wickets in the first over at Old Trafford. Well, we'll have that at the end of the over. I'm really looking forward to that one. Anderson, 2 slips and a gully into Abid Ali. And Abid plays at that definitely and misses. Just got turned around by it slightly. It wasn't a full ball, and it came through at good height, through to sort of waist height. Buttler took it, and it definitely moved away from the batsman off the seam, I would imagine. 8 for 1. Pakistan, having lost their first innings centurion, Shan Masood, for a duck. The last ball of Broad's first over. Takes wickets a lot in his first over at Old Trafford, I think.
On a Friday.
Very much. Well, we'll check that. Anderson in, Abid Ali leaves. A wider ball outside the off stump, which Buttler takes cleanly. It's a horrible way to get out, isn't it? He's caught about they describe it as a strangle. I've heard some of the older pros say it's really unfair that bowlers don't get the credit for that wicket, but you as a batsman, when you were out that way, on your sort of livid scale, on the Ramprakash livid scale, how livid would you be?
Pretty high. It's a poor delivery because they're not meaning to bowl anywhere near there. So
Anderson in, Abid Ali drives nicely, elegantly, but straight to mid-off.
Yeah, I think when the ball is on your pads, the batsman would feel I'm in control of that delivery. Of course, this is slightly further down the leg side, and there is a point where actually you dice with death because the deflection can only be fine. So there are times where you have to be a little bit aware of that type of dismissal. But it is a strangle, come on, let's be honest. But, bowlers take them anyway, which they come.
It's really about how far away your hands are, aren't they, from your body, and that's what's sucking him in there. Anderson in, and played and missed that again, I think, by Abid Ali. And again it goes through to Buttler. Again he got turned around a touch. He survives the over. He has 3. Azhar Ali is yet to score. Pakistan 8-1 lead by 100. And I've got to get this in my head now because I'm going to need 116, 17, 115.
So Stuart Broad in the first over at Old Trafford. 6 innings this summer. He struck in 4 out of the 6 and in both first overs against Australia last September. So 6 out of his last 8 innings on this ground. He's taken a wicket in the first over.
That he's bowled, yes. So generally the second over of the innings.
Send out a night watchman then, I guess.
Yeah.
Send out someone else for some rabbit.
Well, yeah. You might as well. Just sacrifice Naseem Shah at the top of the order for Broad's first over and cash in thereafter. Azhar Ali's going to face his first ball. He's on a pair. Broad bowls to him. Works this into the onside. Thinks about a single. He's desperate to get off strike, but Pope's quick to the ball at square leg. And there's no run.
Well, terrific delivery from Stuart Broad. That was just outside off stump, nipping back. Very similar mode of dismissal that it was with the Chris Woakes delivery in the first innings, which struck Azhar Ali around off stump on the knee roll, plumb in front. And Azhar Ali just getting an inside edge on that out to square leg. So we would think that Azhar Ali will be looking for a very quick single very soon.
Well, he certainly was there, wasn't he? And Pope was alert to that. 2 on the leg side in the ring, saving 1 as Broad comes in to Azhar Ali, who lets this go outside the off stump. It was full again, a little wide, not too wide. He's betraying just a little bit of nerves there, Azhar Ali. You wouldn't blame him. He's on a pair, and the fear for Pakistan is they're in such a strong position here, leading, say, by 115, 9 second innings wickets in hand, but there's 21 minutes till tea. There's a new ball and just a couple of wickets here, and there'd just be a hint of a momentum shift. They've got themselves into such a strong position. It's not yet impregnable, though. As Broad is in. And Azhar Ali edges just in front of Root at first slip. Oh, just died on him. He's clutching his hand. He might have got the end of the fingers. He's in a bit of pain here, but he's... fortunately, his hand itself is being obscured. Now we get to see it. Yeah, it's on the tip of the second or third finger of his right hand, I think. We'll just see a replay of that. It held up nicely. It bounced a good metre in front of him. Oh, actually, it feels like it's more on the thumb. Yeah, on the bony bit of the thumb there. Yes. Yeah, that's sore. Is he? Now, I think he might actually want some treatment for this. I think it is sore. And he might be coming off. Yes, he's calling for Dom Sibley to come into the slips. And he's walking off. I think he's going to want some magic spray. We might not see him back till after tea, I fancy. And Dan Lawrence is going to deputise for the captain, which means Ben Stokes will be skipper on the field.
I'm pretty sure that he broke his thumb back in the West Indies in a one-day international. Still went on to get 100 though. This would be a few years ago, Joe Root. So I think it's very wise for him to pop off and just get that seen to. I broke my thumb twice and it's very, very painful. And when you get hit by a ball on the fingers or the thumb, you get the initial pain and then it kind of wears off. When you've hurt yourself, it doesn't. It just stays with you.
It's Crawley, I should say, not Lawrence, who's come onto the field. And Broad is in, pushed into the offside and fielded actually by Crawley there at extra cover. And there is no run. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look in distress. He managed to smile about it a bit, but I think it's got that. You think that bit of the bone at the base of the thumb? Did it look like to you?
I mean, he's a tough fella, Joe Root. You say he didn't look in distress, but he wasn't moving it a lot. And sometimes, when you see players play football and they go down, some are all over the place rolling around, but it's the ones who lie still you think they've done something serious. Let's hope not, for Joe's sake.
Well, he's off the field. Broad is bowling and Stokes will be on the field skipper. It's Broad to Azhar Ali, plays across his front pad to oohs and ahs up to Archer at wide mid-on. And there's no run. There's just something about the game at the moment. It's just a little feel, isn't there?
Well, I don't think we should underestimate the fact that Masood batted virtually the whole innings at one end. It was an exceptional innings, but of course it's that left-handed angle. Now England have got rid of him. It's much easier for the bowlers to settle into a line and length against all the remaining batsmen, which tend to be right-handers. So Broad and Anderson and all the guys, Dominic, Bess, they'll all be very, very happy to see the back of Masood.
Yeah, there's no left-handers till you get right down to the very bottom of this order. Broad is in, left alone, in extravagant fashion by Azhar. It's become a bit of voguish, this leave. It's the Steve Smith leave, where you almost as if you're sort of knighting someone, but quite forcefully. If you know what I mean. You wouldn't really want to be knighted that way. I suppose if you had a very perky queen. Junk. But
that's in contrast.
No run, end of the over. Sorry, 8 for 1 off 4. Yeah.
That's in contrast to Abid Ali, who just struck me. He's got a little bit of the Mark Benson leave. Many years ago, left-hander, played for England, and you kept thinking, well, he's playing at that, but actually he was just playing down the off-stump line. Very annoying. Got to be called the Kent leave in the end. The
Kent leave?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but
I know exactly the one you mean.
Yeah, you think you're interested as a bowler. You think, well, he's playing at that, but actually Abid Ali perhaps just playing down the line of off-stump. Jimmy Anderson's found a little bit of a way movement, and he thinks he's very much in the game here, Jimmy, I'm sure. And Abid Ali, well, you said about what type of attitude will Pakistan come out with, and they've still got to negotiate this new ball.
Anderson into him, Shaw goes up on his toes and works it to Crawley just in front of square. No, Bess. It's Bess just in front of square leg. 2 or 3 yards in front of square. There's no run. There's some oohs and ahs. England looking here for a breakthrough or two before tea. As Mark said, there'll be confidence there because having got rid of Shan Masood, they'll feel, well, we got the rest of the Pakistan side out for 170 odd, including extras. Anderson in, that's well on-driven defensively to the right of Broad at mid-on. It was full. Blade gave the full face of the mat, struck it crisply. There is no run. Broad with the breakthrough again. What does that make his bowling average this summer now? Because we were saying a moment ago that he averages 102 with the bat and 12 with the ball this summer. Not shabby. It's going to be even better now. That bowling average would be down to about 11, 10 and a half, something like that. Anderson in, and Ali plays inside the line of the ball, and it goes through to Buttler. It's a little shorter and a little wider. And again, he played that shot that Mark's talking about. It sort of looks like he's playing it. It's particularly difficult when you're behind him because you can't quite tell how close he ever gets to the ball.
Stuart Broad this summer with the ball in 3 tests so far, 20 wickets, average 11.5. He's technically averaging over 100, but he's only been out once. I don't like averages.
If you can't get out, Andy, you know. Anderson in, plays at that, there's Abid Ali, and it goes through low to Buttler, who takes it. It was not far outside the off stump, and it was a tentative push. That was not a Kent leave.
It's not like he's scoring 100 every time he goes to the crease. However, his recent batting form, he's had 3 double-figure scores in a row, and 4 in a row if you discount sort of 1 not out in South Africa. And since 2015, when he had a run of 15 double-figure scores in 17 innings, since then he's only had 1 other period in which he's got 3 double-figure scores in a row. So definite resurgence in Broad's batting.
Anderson in, and Abid Ali covers up in defence, firmly pushes the ball up to mid-off where Woakes fields. He's looking deliberately compact, if you know what I mean, Abid Ali, isn't he? He's absolutely determined to get over the ball and keep hands and back close to his body. There isn't really a hint of that bat really moving away from his body at the moment, which Anderson would like to see. Just trying to guts it out until tea. It's about 13 minutes to go. There'll be 3 overs, maybe. Anderson into him to complete the over. It's wide of the off stump. Doesn't tempt him. Goes through to Buttler. End of the over, the 5th of the innings. Azhar Ali is yet to score. He's on a pair. Abid Ali is on 3. Pakistan 8 for 1. They lead by 115. More thoughts. What has been a gripping afternoon of play from Mark Ramprakash, and then to take you up to tea, it will be Simon Mack.
Well, it's been good from England. I think a few runs by the lower order players just to lift their spirits, and then of course the dismissal of Shan Masood. And we can hear through the stump mic, there's plenty of encouragement for the bowlers. It's really important that England sustain that. This game, the Test cricket over 5 days, it really does examine your character. And as a group, they've got to stay tight. They'll be slightly fatigued from their efforts in the field in the first innings. Broad starts his run up.
Here's Broad to Azhar Ali, still on a pair, and he's looking for a single there into the offside. He was off. No from Abid Ali at the non-strikers end, and just as well, Crawley, subfielder, closing in to his left in the covers. So 8 for 1, the lead 115 for Pakistan. It feels on this surface first innings lead of 100 is a massive advantage, massive. Somehow I've got to believe here and see if they can bowl Pakistan out cheaply. Back with Broad. 2 slips and a gully. Broad goes in and bowls. Oh, is he nicked? No, he hasn't. Oh, that one took off and left him. I thought I heard a noise there as the ball went past the batsman. Fine delivery from Stuart Broad. And as a surviving, not easy being out there as a batsman. It left him. It went a long way, that, didn't it?
And quickly.
Yeah.
And you look at the angle. Stuart Broad is operating from quite wide of the crease, so he's running it in an angle quite wide of the crease, so it's almost angling into the right-hander, and that one leg cut away from Azhar Ali at pace.
You really want those to take the glove if you're a bowler. Broad bowls. Oh, and it's gone through him again. Broad can barely believe it. Azhar walked off towards square leg. It's quite close to off stump as well. So England here exerting some pressure with the new ball, but they need wickets desperately. They need 2 or 3 quickly. We've got 10 minutes to go until tea. Still 47 overs left in the day's play after this one. We've played till 8 minutes past 7 tonight. And Broad, this wonderful summer he's having with the ball. Well, it's wonderful summer he's having at Old Trafford. That's the only ground he's played on this summer. Goes into bowl to Azhar, who is stroking that away on the front foot, but straight to Crawley in the covers, and there's no run. So Ben Stokes suddenly gone from being slip fielder to captain, having to form the tactics out there, make the tactics route off the field. I wonder how long he'll be off for. Struck on the finger, fielding a ball that was edged to him. Stokes was actually bowling during the break between innings. England didn't want to risk him as a mainline bowler in the game. That was a suggestion that the injury is improving. He could bowl later in the match. Broad bowls outside the off stump as it leans forward and lets it go. I mean, you'd think with 4 frontline quicks already, they wouldn't necessarily need Stokes, and the spinner as well on a wearing surface. We've got 5 main bowlers, but it could well be that we see Stokes in this Pakistan second innings. You can just feel him. You can actually feel his frustration at slip. He can't get involved, especially after getting out for naught with the bat. The 2 Test matches he's played where he's just been a batsman, 20 and naught. He's not really contributed. Here's Broad going in, bowls to Azhar. Azhar lets it go. It's a good over for Stuart Broad, an excellent over. It's a wicket maiden. He wishes. It's a maiden over. It's 8 for 1. Pakistan lead by 115.
It is a very different psyche, actually, for those who are all-rounders. When you take away one of
Root's back.
Their skills. Oh, well, that's good news.
Yeah.
That's good. I was worried about that because it looked a solid blow on his thumb. He's still moving quite gingerly, but I'm sure that he wouldn't be going back to field at slip if there was some real damage. So it's probably just bruising. Let's hope that is the case. But just coming back to the all-rounders, the psyche of taking away one of their skills, so all their eggs are in one basket, let's say Ben Stokes at the moment, as a batsman, it just puts much more emphasis on that particular skill and to some degree, some more pressure.
Yeah. So Root back at slip. Anderson goes in, bowls to Abid Ali, forces that away, down to the third man boundary for 4. He was looking, I think, to play that a bit squarer, but went off the thick edge perfectly safely. It was between third slip and backward point. Played it into a gap. It was in the air.
I think it would have gone to an orthodox gully, you know. Rory Burns in the first innings was around that area, but they brought him finer. It's one of those shots that a batsman plays with a straight bat away from his body. When it comes off, it looks great, but when the ball bounces, as this new ball has, you can just get the outer half of the bat and go off into the slip cordon or the gully area.
He's on to 7. It's 12 for 1. Anderson bowls to Abid Ali. An away swinger. Abid lets it go. Taken by Joss Buttler. Shan Masood out. Caught Buttler off broad down the leg side. What a game cricket is, isn't it? I mean, it's phenomenal. Bats out of his skin for a day and a half in the first innings, and then gets caught down the leg side for naught in the second.
Yeah, it's so impressive, wasn't it, his first innings? Although, of course, he did have the rub of the green with a drop catch and a stumping.
And he was on 45 at the time, the missed stumping and the drop catch. Here is Anderson bowling, and Abid Ali up on his toes there, guiding that away on the offside to Pope at backward point. Pope picks it up, anticipating a run. They don't run. Score stays at 12 for 1. So he was on 45. He made 156. So what's that? 111 after being reprieved, and the first innings lead is 107.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Joss Buttler, the mistakes are highlighted, and with the team's fortunes, that will be much talked about as a pivotal moment in the game.
Anderson bowling from the old pavilion end here, goes in, bowls to Abid, nicks it. Oh, and Stokes goes in front of Root at first slip and drops it. There's another one that Stokes has put down. Anderson's got his back to the slip cord, and he's already walking back. To me, my initial reaction there was that was Root's catch, and Stokes seemed to go across him. But it's gone down. Stokes went for it.
Well, I have to say, I thought this was coming. It was an excellent delivery from Anderson, just moving away from Abid Ali, and he didn't draw his bat away in time. Now, Stokes went very quickly, instinctively, but really, as we see on the replay, only got one hand to it. Didn't really get both hands to the ball.
Anderson bowls, and he goes past the outside edge of Abid's bat there through to Buttler. Yeah, I've had a look at it again. He went away to his left, and Root, I think, was just preparing to take it in two hands, fractionally to his right. Yeah, that was Root's catch.
Yeah, no question. Just slightly to Joe Root's right. I think what's happened is because of the nature of this pitch and the fact that it's fairly low in bounce, the slips are quite narrow, and they've looked to come up a little bit because of the lack of bounce. So Stokes possibly thought that was his catch, but on the replay, he looks very close to Joe Root.
Anderson bowls to Abid, who forces that away. How often does that happen? Anderson kicks the turf. A puff of dust comes up. It's forced away for 4. Anderson he's walking to his fielding position without looking at any of his teammates.
I can assure you they won't be looking at him either. You give him a very wide berth at the moment, but rightly so. He's danders up. He's running in for his country. He's 38 years old. He's putting in a fantastic effort. And it's bitterly disappointing for a bowler when they're putting in that physical effort to see a chance like that go down. But that's why I always say any catch at slip is a good catch. It may look easy on the replays on the TV, but it goes so quickly.
Yeah, it did go quickly to Stokes. Here is Broad bowling wide of off stump, and Azhar still on naught, lets it go, but it really was Root's catch. Root just fractionally deeper, of course. He's at first slip, and he seemed to get his hands in a nice position to take it, and there's Stokes diving across him and knocking it out of his grasp. Anderson, I think it's fair to say, not impressed.
Well, he's bowled beautifully in this spell. I mean, to have to come out after the first innings efforts and go again, it's a big ask, but for someone of his experience and age.
16 for 1, Broad bowls full, and Azhar drives and misses. Well, Pakistan could easily be 20 for 4 here, the way things are going.
The wicket by Stuart Broad was his 426th in matches in which he's played with Jimmy Anderson. Jimmy Anderson has 474 in those games, so 900 between them in games in which they've played together. They're second on the all-time list of wickets by pairs of bowlers in games they played together. Warne and McGrath, 101 wickets ahead. Warne had 513 at average 24 in matches he played with McGrath. McGrath 488 at 21.
Back with Broad, 16 for 1, goes in and bowls to Azhar, who's squared up by that one. Thickish outside edge, goes to backward point. He's having to work hard to get off the mark here. Pakistan's captain, that's 15 balls. He's still on a pair.
And no visiting number 3 has had a pair in England since N.S. Harford of New Zealand in 1958 at the Headingley.
Well, it could happen. I think odds against really back him to get one somewhere, although Broad is really testing him around that off stump. And England have got a ring field as well. Broad bowls, and he turns that into the onside, straight to forward square leg. Pope comes in to pick up, and there's no run. Because the other issue here is he going to do it before tea? So he could be going into tea still on a pair. We've got just over a minute. There are 2 balls left in this over. This could well be the last over before tea. It's been a struggle for Pakistan's captain, but overall he'll be delighted with the match situation. Pakistan 123 runs ahead, still with 9 wickets, and they get to bowl last on this pitch. And the spinners took 6 between them, Yasir and Shadab. Broad bowls to Azhar, who's back quietly in defence, playing back up the offside of the pitch, and there is no run. And the other thing in Azhar's favour as well is he's such an experienced cricketer. This is his 80th Test match, with a very good record behind him. 79th Test match, 1600s as well. So, last ball of the over, the clock ticking round towards 5 to 4. Broad goes in to bowl to Pakistan's captain. It's outside the off stump. He lets it go. It's through to Buttler. That's the end of the over. 16 for 1. And what are the umpires going to do here? Is there time for one more? England are hastening through to try to get one more. It's waiting for umpire Kettleborough to come in from square leg. It's taking quite a long time. If they decide there's going to be one more, touch and go. It's 15:54 on the scoreboard. Yes, we're going to get one more.
According to CricViz, that drop was Ben Stokes' 16th since the start of the New Zealand series in early 2018. That's the most of anyone in world cricket. Josh Buttler next with 14, then Joe Root, Ajinkya Rahane and Rishabh Pant on 9. So England have played more tests in that time, but still a disappointing number for Stokes.
He's caught a few, but there's some bad drops among them. Anderson bowls. That's forced away nicely by Abid Ali for 4. That's not going to improve Anderson's mood. It was a fraction short. Beautifully played, though. Really firmly by Abid, who was reprieved on what score, Andy?
7.
Score advantage to 20 for 1. He was off the ground there, playing that on the back foot.
It was a much more convincing stroke there, and a little bit closer to his body, so he had more control. Beautifully timed, as you say, up on his toes.
Anderson gets the ball back and bends down at that far end and rubs the ball furiously on his trousers. Anderson, in overcast conditions, moves in and bowls to Abid, who plays that firmly into the offside. Goes to Sibley, who's now fielding in the covers, and there's no run. And then slipcord and Root and Stokes, and then Burns in the gully region. There's also a deep backward point now for Abid Ali. Pope has dropped back. Anderson walking very slowly back at that far end. Well, he's just about seen it. Ollie, he'll have had plenty of catches dropped off his bowling. Just so frustrating in this situation where you're striving for wickets. Goes in now and bowls. Oh, and he goes past the outside edge of the bat. He puts one hand to his head there. Well, he's seen it all before. How many times has he beaten the bat in his Test career? He's bowled more balls than anybody else, just about. There's seam bowlers.
I think he'll be upset with the general situation for his team. You know, he cares so much, and he'll be desperately disappointed with the fact that there's such a deficit on the first innings and that he's had to come out and bowl so quickly.
Goes in now and bowls. Oh, he goes past you. Yes, England bowling again on less than 24 hours after they were last in the field. Anderson bowls to Abid, who's in behind that, playing firmly up towards Broad at mid-on. There's no run. Bowlers like a full day off, don't they? They don't mind it. They get a full day off, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they're too worried about, you know, scoring rates and all of that jazz. You know, they want people to get out there and bat time. That's why when I was playing with Phil Tufnell and for England, he used to love the sight of Graham Gooch putting on his mum and dad's. Yes, his pads. That is Cockney rhyming slang for anyone who doesn't know.
Anderson, 2 balls left until the tea interval. Bowls to Abid, who plays that again firmly back up the pitch. Anderson stops off his own bowling, and there's no run. Muhammad Ali's short man. He would be 5'6", something like that, 5'8".
He's not that short then, if he's 5'8".
Well, relatively.
I'm all of 5'9.5", I think.
Compact player.
Compact, yeah, that's the word.
20 for 1. Anderson turns to the far end. Last ball before tea. Pakistan 127 ahead. Sun comes out, and Anderson moves in, looking for that wicket. Bowls to Abid Ali, who's playing into the offside to cover. There's no run. It's the end of the over. Anderson threw 5 overs. No wicket for 14. 20 for 1 is the score. And Pakistan are on top here at tea on the third day.
Just quickly answer your question. In the CricViz database, which excludes 16 matches from early in his career, but that was the 3,291st time that a batsman has played and missed at a Jimmy Anderson delivery. So that covers 138 tests in their database.
Well, that's amazing. That was actually a rhetorical question. Really. I didn't expect it to be answered. But, well, there we are. You've done it 3,000 times before. Right, Mark, where's this game? Pakistan firmly in control at tea, 127 ahead, 9 wickets left.
Well, they are in control, there's no question about it. And England have got to be very, very careful here. They've got to keep their morale up, their attitude good. They've got some young guys in that group who have got to buzz around in the field and keep encouraging the bowlers. It's a big session after tea because clearly we don't want Pakistan sort of really running away with the game. They've got to somehow create pressure and hopefully rely, well, on some good deliveries, but also maybe 1 or 2 mistakes from Pakistan, maybe a bit of complacency. Maybe they haven't been in this situation too often before. So England have got the attack, they've got the 5 bowlers. It's going to be very important how Joe Root sets things up, you know, which end he bowls Bess, and how he manages to try and control the run rate. If Azhar stays in and Babar Azam gets to the wicket, you know, they're fluent stroke makers and they're capable of taking the game away from England after tea.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mark. More from you later. So the game moving on in that afternoon session, 6 wickets going down. England bowled out 107 runs behind, and Pakistan at tea 20 for 1 in their second innings. Shan Masood out for 0, and Azhar Ali still on 0. Abid Ali playing well at the other end. Now, if you're looking for some more listening material, well worth checking out our series of classic View from the Boundaries interviews on BBC Sounds. Among the most memorable was with the youngest ever Nobel Prize laureate, Malala Yousafzai. The human rights activist joined us in the TMS commentary box at Edgbaston when Pakistan toured back in 2016. Malala, of course, has an amazing story. Born to a Pashtun family in Pakistan, she rose to prominence campaigning for educational rights. In 2012, she survived an assassination attempt after being shot in the head by a Pakistani Taliban gunman. She was treated in Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham and was living in the city when she joined me during the 3rd test.
First of all, thank you, Simon, and I'm really proud to be here and to see the match between Pakistan and England, and it's a very special day.
Tell us about your interest in cricket.
Well, I have been a fan of cricket for my whole life, and this is something that every Pakistani young person will be passionate about. So I was passionate about cricket right from a very early age, and I have been following it, and it's really nice to see it here as well, and to see it with your own eyes. I have seen it on TV, but to see it in the field, it makes it more special.
The first time you've been to a test match live, or any cricket match live?
So it's the first test match that I'm seeing live. I have seen one day, it was in Sharjah, and it was Sri Lanka versus Pakistan. Pakistan won that, so I hope they win this one as well.
But what do you think about the state of the game?
It's going well right now, and I think a few more wickets are needed, and then Pakistan will win, definitely. If not win, then I hope for a draw. But if Pakistan lose, then I wouldn't be as sad, because England is also a good team, and the country has welcomed me as like a sister, and I have always been grateful for the support that I have received, and the treatment and the good education that I'm getting here. So I would still be sad, but not too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you watch cricket? Have you watched cricket here, or did you watch cricket in Pakistan when you were growing up?
I watched cricket in Pakistan. We played cricket in the streets, and with my brothers, and always they would tell me I'm cheating in cricket. I said no, I'm always been the best, and they don't accept it. So yes, just as a normal Pakistani girl, I have played cricket in the streets of my city, and I still love it, and I follow it, and I believe that this is a game that can bring countries together, cultures together, and different nationalities together. So we need to celebrate it and enjoy it.
What sort of cricketer are you? Batsman, bowler?
I think I'm good at everything, but my brothers think I'm good at nothing.
Well, what about your brothers? Are they any good?
They are good. Batting, bowling, they are very good. They consider themselves all-rounders. I don't accept that at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you play here? I mean, have you looked to play here?
We do try to play in our garden, and I also played at school, but unfortunately the weather is not always nice, so don't get a chance to play. It's always raining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Well, it's fine. I forgive you for that.
What about the players? While you were growing up, well, you're still very young, but who are your sort of heroes in the Pakistan side, or perhaps other sides as well?
Well, I have loved cricket, and I love all cricket players. But in Pakistan, especially Shahid Afridi, everyone is Shahid Afridi's fan. But seeing Misbah, Yunus, or top players, and also the bowlers like Amir, and so it's really great, seeing Yasir playing and doing really well. But also I have loved many players like Shane Watson, Shane Warne, and in England, Cook did really well. And it's so all the players, I love cricket, and I love all cricket players, so I wouldn't be biased, but obviously Pakistani players I think are the best.
Have you met any players, any Pakistan players, or any players from any other countries?
I met Brian Lara once, and I was so excited that I have never been so excited before, meeting presidents and prime ministers. Not that excited, but when I see a cricket player, it's just the best moment.
Yeah. What is it Shahid Afridi has that other people don't?
I think when he hits the ball, it just feels like it's the real cricket. That's what you want to see. And he is very passionate as well, very energetic. But then when he gets out, then we all lose hope. Yeah.
So let's talk about other aspects of your life. You're living in the UK now. Are you going to stay here? This is where you're going to make your home now?
So I have been in the UK, in Birmingham, for more than 3.5 years, and this is where I got my treatment in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and I'm also getting my education right now. I finished my AS levels, and I have 1 year of A levels left, and I would be applying to university right now for next year. So I'm really excited, and I want to study here and get quality and good education. That's what I dream for, because that's what I stand up for as well, to ensure that every girl has the right to go to school, and that's what I have been campaigning for, whether it's girls in Nigeria or Pakistan or India. So that's my campaign, but I also want myself to get education as well. So I'm hoping to get quality education here.
Yeah, and then what? Once you've done your education, what after that?
Well, I'm hoping to continue the campaign, and our Malala Fund, our aim is to have advocacy and to also do work on the ground building schools. So I want to continue that work, and hopefully one day go back to Pakistan and make sure that we bring peace in the country, and we have amazing youth. I want the youth to be empowered in so they can get education, but also to have good relations in terms of like with other countries, and also to spread cricket around the world, and make sure we have many more test and cricket matches within Pakistan as well. So I'm hoping for peace in Pakistan.
Yeah, because Pakistan don't play at home. That's something you'd like to see. Do you think there's a possibility of that happening? That the Pakistan will play home matches again, home international matches?
Yes, that's what my dream is. That Pakistan gets the opportunity to have home matches, and but that is possible when peace comes. And I think for that, everyone has to contribute. The young generation of Pakistan, and also our leaders, they have to contribute to ensure that we stand together against terrorism, and we unite for education and for peace in the country.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go back and live in Pakistan? Was that what you'd like to do in the future?
Yes, definitely. That's where I began my campaign. That's where I stood up for my right to go to school. So that's what I want to continue this mission, and I'm hoping that we all can change. We all can bring the change that we want to see. So for that, our contribution is needed. So I can't just wait and stand here and see my country good. I have to go there and contribute from my side. So I'm hoping to go back.
Tell us a bit more about the charity work you do. You know, the fundraising, the raising of awareness around child education, girls' education, not just in Pakistan but other countries in the world. You mentioned Nigeria,
yes,
didn't you? And I think Syria as well as another country where you,
yes,
you have a lot of interest. What are you doing? How does the campaigning work?
So actually we have three key things to do. First one is advocacy, second investment, and third amplify. So in advocacy we spread the message of 12 years of quality education for every child, which means primary and secondary. But also our goal is to make sure that the Syrian refugee children, they get education. So that's the message that I have been spreading among leaders, whether it's Barack Obama or the president of Nigeria or the president of Lebanon and Jordan, to speak out for refugee children, but also to do work on the ground, that is investment in the local projects. And we have done projects in Lebanon, such as building 2 schools in a refugee camp. We have done projects in Pakistan, in Swat Valley, which is my hometown. So that is building schools, giving scholarships. So we want to do something from our side and show the leaders that if we can build one school, like, why can't you? Why are you stepping back? And then the third one is to amplify the young girls' voices. So it's not just me speaking out, but I have girls from Syria, girls from Nigeria, girls from Pakistan having a voice and speaking out for themselves, so that they do not wait for someone else to come and speak for them, that they get their own voice and have a platform to speak out.
Do you see the rest of your life as a campaigner, or do you sort of get to a stage, you think you might get to a stage, I don't know, in 10 years' time when other people take over and you, for want of a better word, live a normal life, or different life, following a profession or something like that? Or do you think you'll be a campaigner for the rest of your life?
My campaign would continue for the rest of my life, and this is my new life. I've been through that incident where I was attacked, and when I survived, it was because of the prayers of people, and it was for a purpose that I believe. So this life is for the purpose of education, to serve humanity, but I do want to get my own education, to live a bit of a normal life, to get a job, and but I am normal. I'm quite normal. Like, I have 2 younger brothers. Fighting with them is very normal, and they keep annoying me, so that keeps me normal.
Yeah. It's a remarkable life you've had. I mean, you're 19, aren't you? Is that right?
Yes, I'm 19.
It's a remarkable life that you've had. The fact that what happened to you, the fact that you were shot, you recovered. I know you mentioned there meeting presidents and prime ministers. It's opened a huge amount of doors, isn't it? I mean, it's such a bizarre thing to happen to someone.
Well, a lot happened in 19 years of my life, but to see people's support, that gives you strength each and every day. So I'm hoping that I will continue my education and mission, and that's something that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Sherry Khan's here as well, who's from the PCB, the head man at the PCB. You're involved in Malala coming along today.
Very much so. We are greatly honoured and privileged to have her as our chief guest for the 4th day. She's been very, very gracious to come
to happen to someone.
And one of the thrills of my life has been that she has given me a copy of her Nobel Prize, the
diploma
document. I really cherish that, and I would want to thank her for it and to say what a great pleasure it is to receive such a wonderful gift from her. She is, as you see, a wonderful person, very committed, very dedicated to education, and she continues her campaign despite the fact that she was shot in the head. She continues it. She's gone to Nigeria to rescue those poor girls that Boko Haram have had captured, kidnapped, been to Austria, been all over the world trying to help girls' education. It's a real inspiration to listen to her and to be with her, and it's a great, great honor for the team. Today, after close of play, the whole team will meet her, and I think she'll enjoy meeting them also.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. Who do you want to meet in particular?
All of them, just to see them, and I am like a great fan of cricket and all the cricketers. I can't even explain.
Yeah, so you've met presidents and prime ministers, but it's the players you want to meet most, is
Yes.
it?
Yes. I'm very glad she said that,
In your future campaigning work, what will make success? What success look like?
I think education is taken for granted in many countries, like in the developed world, and it is not given enough attention. And I'm hoping that the world leaders, they give it enough attention and investment if we are thinking of a better world and better future, and if we want any advancement and improvement in technology. But we are forgetting that the future generation, they don't go to school, and they're not getting access to the tools that they need in their future. So how can we think of any success? And that is the key thing that is forgotten. So without education, we can't improve any country. We can't achieve peace. And especially in Pakistan, in India, in Afghanistan, in those countries, education it's important, but it's necessary. It's needed.
I understand that in Pakistan, it's the second largest number of girls not in school in the world.
Yes. So like the top one is Nigeria, and then Pakistan comes. So we don't want to see that. We want to see every child in Pakistan getting education. And sometimes people ask me that why is education important? And I think it doesn't even need an explanation. If you look at the leaders and the politicians, all of them have their daughters and sons admitted. Get the leaders and the politicians, all of them have their daughters and sons admitted in schools. Their children go to university. They don't need any explanation of why children should go to school, because they know that for a child to have a bright future, it is important that we educate them. So why don't they think the same for the rest of the world's children?
What was it like being at school in the UK? Because I think you went to a girls' school, didn't you, in the UK? How did they interact with you? I mean, did you look at them and think you don't know how lucky you are?
In the beginning, I was a bit shy, and it was really hard for me to adjust because the culture was new and the way that you gossip was new. Everything was new to me. But I was grateful that it was quality education that I was getting. And then as time went on, I just got used to it. I made friends, and the teachers were very helpful. So I'm enjoying it, and it's good to have a new experience and learn more.
Yeah, well, you've done your GCSEs with great success, I understand.
Thank you.
That's right, though, isn't it? A's and A stars, I think.
Yes, yeah. Well, I had to work hard to prove that education is important.
Yeah, and then you're on to the next stage, and then off to university. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and hope that I get admission in the university, and I hope that they accept me.
What was it like for the other girls being at school with you? Do you think someone who is a celebrity in their midst?
Actually, my school was really good because they kept me completely normal. So when I go to school, it just doesn't look like I'm anyone special. It just looks that I'm Malala, the student. That's it. But I do participate in school, in debates, in clubs, and I stood up for the head girl role. There was election, and I couldn't win.
You didn't win?
You didn't, and I didn't win. So it just shows how normal it is. But I did get the deputy head girl role.
Right, okay. So,
yeah.
So they had to vote for you, did they?
Yes, they had. I had to deliver a speech, and I had to write application form. I had to go through interviews. So I would have done a lot of interviews, but I couldn't really win the school elections and those things. Yeah, that's hard. Life is hard.
Yeah. I was just thinking of the girl who won, actually. We'll have her on as our next view from the boundary.
Yeah, that's lovely. Simon with Malala, who recently graduated from Oxford University, where she completed a degree in philosophy, politics and economics, and she continues to work promoting human rights. And you can hear more from that interview and many more on our 40 from 40 series, celebrating 40 years of View from the Boundary features. So welcome back to Emirates Old Trafford. We're waiting for tea to end on this third day, another fascinating day for just catching up with things. England were bowled out for 219. So that gave Pakistan a first innings lead of 107, very useful. 29 not out from 25 balls from Stuart Broad. Jos Buttler made 38, Ollie Pope 62, Chris Woakes 19. It was the spinners that did the damage, really. Yasir Shah took 4 for 66 in all, as Shadab Khan 2 for 13. So 219 all out. And at the tea break, Pakistan are 20 for 1, and it's remarkable, isn't it, having scored 150 in the first innings, 156 to be precise. Shan Masood should nick one down the leg side off Stuart Broad and get out for a duck in the second innings, but it doesn't happen very often. But there you go, he's out. Azhar, the captain, who was on a pair, has faced 18 balls and has still not got off the mark yet. He's looked a bit twitchy. And Abid Ali was dropped by Stokes when he was on 7, diving in front of Joe Root at slip, and there was no need to do it. I must say, we had a great view where I was sitting, and Joe Root had it, was going straight in, waist high at first slip, and suddenly Stokes leapt across him from second, and down it went. So Abid Ali survives. He's on 15 now, and it's 20 for 1. So the lead for Pakistan is 127. There's lots of play left to come today. We can go through to 7 o'clock. There's 44 overs left, and Michael Vaughan's alongside me, enjoying an interesting day, but England up against it now.
Oh, they're up against it, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Pakistan have been outstanding in the test match. I guess that drop catch, Ben Stokes, Abid Ali, it sums England's performance up. They've just not been good enough in all the disciplines of the game. They've had periods where they've looked pretty good, particularly with the ball in hand. With the bat, Ollie Pope was good, Jos Buttler for a time was good, Stuart Broad, but the majority of England's players this week have just not been on it for long enough periods. The discipline elements have not been strong enough. Concentration, whatever it may be. First test of a series once again. They've not been at the races. And Pakistan have been too good for them so far. But when you're only 127 behind, this session, England get 5 or 6 wickets. They could easily claw themselves back into the test match. I mean, the impossible can happen. We saw that at Headingley last summer. You can win from these kind of positions. It's not going to be easy on a pitch like this that we've
that's
seen.
The thing. I was going to ask you what you think realistically. What realistically?
250. Got a chance.
That would be a good effort to score 250 against that attack.
Hell of a chase. 250. 200. Of course, you've got a chance. 250. You need a Stokes-like innings. Anything beyond that, you would sense that it's going to be too much. But you just never know. I mean, cricket surprises us, doesn't it? It has done a lot with the World Cup final. Plenty of surprises on that day. The Headingley game. I think that Headingley game has almost given everyone a little bit that hope the impossible can happen. But you're just looking at, for England to suddenly turn it around, it will take a remarkable individual performance now in this session from a bowler. And when they get the chance to bat again, I'm sure tomorrow someone's going to have to play the Ben Stokes role.
Just say that they do bundle Pakistan out and it's 210 to win or something like that. I'm just looking at Pakistan's bowling attack, which we agreed is gun. It gets people out. It's an attacking attack. Just wonder, if they were to come under pressure, who would you throw the ball to try and keep an end going? Because Mohammad Abbas, I guess, but then he's a seamer. He's only got a certain amount of time in him. But the spinners are attacking spinners. They do leak runs.
You'd probably get the leg spin around the wicket into the rough to the right handers. That's an attack that they could go for. But you're right, the leg spinners generally like to. I thought Shadab Khan looked excellent.
Yes,
that Google's going to. I don't think it'll be the last of his wickets throughout this series. I think he might pick up a few, particularly tail enders. You can only look what's in front of you. England, they can't lose another session. They've got to win every single session in the test match to win it from here. If they have one more bad session, Pakistan are 1-0 up in the series.
Well, I guess that session is this one coming up now. 20 for 1. Stuart Broad's hitching up his trousers and he's just twitching at the collar of his shirt. And he's going to continue this battle with Azhar. So far, he's not been able to get this single to get off the mark, and it was just starting to prey on him. 18 balls he's faced so far. Broad runs in, and he bowls on off stump. He wants that single, but he's sent back. The ball runs away to backward point. And isn't it funny how batsmen are, and all about getting off the mark. And this is a man who's called 1600s. He's played 79 tests, and he's still worried about getting one in his second innings.
Yeah, it's awful when you're on a pair, particularly when you're facing someone like Stuart. But you want to be facing someone rapid, because generally you've more of a chance of a gap, or there's plenty more space to just knock and run. But there's no space for him to get the single.
No,
it's going to take a probably quick single to cover point, or one off the hips down to fine leg.
I hope Abid's ready. In goes Broad, he's there and he bowls. It's very full, he's driven that to Anderson's right, and he's got there, and you can hear the cry from Azhar as he's pushed that away past the outstretched Anderson, and that I think will come down all the way before it has done. Archer couldn't quite get there, so he's off, he's away. And I suppose in Broad sort of loosening over, it was inevitable he might get a ball he'd be able to put away. Played that nicely.
Yeah, Jimmy, full stretch. At mid-off, he got a bit of a glare from Stuart.
He couldn't.
Not too sure why.
He'd have run him. If he'd stopped it, they'd still have got the single. Yeah, there were two little moments before tea, and certainly when Stokes put the catch down, he got more than a glare from Jimmy Anderson.
There's a feel of dejection about the England team, don't you feel? Almost feel like the game's done.
Stuart Broad there directing Burns, more like fourth or fifth, he said. So that's fourth or fifth slip, not gully. As they're on strike, Broad moves in, bowls to him. He's got that away through the offside as well. Squarer this time. Sibley's after it, but the ball will beat him into that boundary edge. And consecutive boundaries, and Broad won't like that very much. 28 for 1.
Well, what England don't want is the captain of Pakistan, Azhar, to find form in this innings. You know, so even if you're up against it in terms of winning this Test match, there's little scalps you can take down to Southampton, and if the captain of Pakistan gets a couple of failures here, there are many talks in Pakistan that there's a bit of pressure on his position in the side. He's not averaged a great deal of late, so they can get him cheaply. Even if they don't go on and win the game, it can have an effect on the next Test match.
Broad again bowls, and Azhar plays from the crease defensively. Sibley's there very quickly, coming in from cover. England know that very much part of the Pakistan game has been to tap and run. So that field is very close set. 28 for 1 on a very warm late afternoon now. Late afternoon? No, it's not late afternoon yet. It's only 4:30, but it's sultry. That's probably the best word to describe it. There's some cloud around.
Well, yeah, you were on about the cloud earlier. Just accusing the Manchester weather as
I always like
poor, and
I always like coming back to my roots. In goes Broad again over the wicket, bowls on off stump, steered away down to backward point.
Well, I did enjoy, when you were talking about the weather, I had a few text messages from people around the country about the weather that they were either sitting in or driving in. There was a bit of rain around. One came from your wife, Jonathan. 31 degrees and searching for shade in the Vale.
My wife is
Mrs. Agnew. I went, hi. She went, and I've run out of rosé. So there's a proper crisis. I said, that sounds serious. And she said, don't worry. I've got a nice local wine supplier, and I've got John's debit card.
Oh, no.
So you're in for a bit of an amount on the card.
Dear,
and then she texts back, anyone else want some more?
She's feeling skittish. In goes Broad over the wicket, bowls on off stump, and that's pushed away defensively again. Cries of no echo around Old Trafford as Bess fields at backward point. Yes, that's dangerous. 28 for 1, 10 overs gone, the lead 135. Very humid. You think the ball might swing around a bit in these conditions, but not a lot there for England's bowlers. And Jofra Archer is going to come on and bowl from the far end. It picked up a couple of wickets yesterday without ever really getting the speed up. And we're talking about Archer today, whether there's always this expectation from his teammates too. He's going to run up and bowl at 90 miles an hour every time, but he's just not that sort of bowler. When he clicks, he gets it right, and when he doesn't, he's a 82, 83 mile an hour bowler who can do things with the ball.
But I think it's important that the team realise quickly what kind of bowler he is, because selection's important. That England want this one of the four seamers to be a bit X factor, a bit different, quicker than the other three. And Jofra Archer is that bowler this week that's been picked. Someone like Mark Wood does bowl around 80 to 90 miles an hour consistently when he plays, and I'm very intrigued to see what he gets them down at in this spell.
He's bowling to Abid Ali, and the first ball's on off stump, and Abid covers up, and Broad will pick it up at mid-on. Well, we know he's got that bouncer up his sleeve, but I think it's often dangerous to label fast bowlers, or to believe that fast bowlers who just run up and just bowl fast all the time. It doesn't work like that.
There are some that do bowl that pace all the time, though. You look at someone like Naseem Shah, he's going to bowl at 87 plus all the time. Mark Wood bowls quickly pretty much all the time. Brett Lee, Shoaib Akhtar. Now, if Jofra Archer isn't that kind of bowler, and it's kind of every now and again he clicks into the 90 mile an hour range, I think it's important that the team understand that.
Here he comes, gliding in from the far end, bowls down the leg side. Buttler sets off and catches that cleanly. And there's no run, 28 for 1. That is also not always entirely convinced by the speed gun either, the numbers that come up. They really do vary a lot. And when you're looking almost every ball as we are at what the speeds are, the big variation there. And sometimes you see the speed cut and go, really? That can't be right.
Do you ever look at the keeper? How far the keeper stood back?
Here's Archer once more. He bowls wide of the off stump. And Abid allows that to go through, showing that 83 miles an hour on the speed gun. 28 for 1. Roots back on the field. He damaged a finger. It's a bit worrying before tea, but was able to resume his position. I think he and Stokes have got to sort out where they're standing at first and second slip, because they're pretty tight. They're quite close together there. I'm sure they have another couple of feet between them. Is Archer bowling outside the off stump. It's short and cracked away off the back foot. And Abid Ali picks up another run out to the deep point fieldsman.
Yeah, it's an Australian obsession that, I work with Mark Waugh in the winters, and he's always on about slip cordons, that you've got to be able to spread out, and it's about the stagger. And he'd be looking at Ben Stokes and Joe Root. There's not a stagger, and they're too close.
You used to stretch your arms out, didn't you, and just touch the fingertips. Yeah, but they wouldn't be able to do that.
Probably not a bad way of doing it, actually.
That's what we used to do. I'm sure they would be too close by that particular gauge. It's outside the off stump. And Azhar allows that to go through, raising the bat. Yeah, that's what we used to do. Just stick your hands out.
It's like the spades.
You don't see them doing it anymore.
No, it's the old school. There's some old school ways that are still the best ways. So, every now and again, the old schools.
What about the old slip cradle as well?
Oh yeah, they still going. I bet they are. I bet there's some cricket clubs around the country who've still got the cradle.
They'll be wheeling them out tomorrow.
Oh, I had loads of fun at Aberdeen Park in Sheffield on the cradle. Not that it helped my catching, but
that was the way you did your slip catching practice. Archer bowls full of length just outside the off stump.
And you could get it, couldn't you? So you could almost you released the ball at an angle, and it kind of slid across the cable, and then it gathered pace.
It's a great way of doing it. But the grounds, we've got two grounds people coming on actually. We've got one with a broom and a bucket, and another slightly more portly gentleman who's usually to be found on the mower, coming out with a piece of sort of horticultural equipment. I think we call it a half moon in the trade. You normally do it to trim the edges of your lawn, but he's going down here, and I think he's going to sort of chamfer. Is that the right word? Chamfer off some of the foothold there from this end. Stuart Broad's asked him, and he's actually, Broad is literally overseeing this operation. So his hands on his knees, stooped over, while so the porter of the two is down on his knees, but very delicate operation. This just a bit like a cheese grater. He's just grating a bit of parmesan there, and then it's being swept away, and Stuart Broad's just making sure that everything's like, no, he wants a bit more off. There's such fine dust. Oh, he's got a mallet as well. That's exciting. Not sure what he's going to do with that. You can hear it.
Why have the bail's been taken off? What's happening there? They're just rearranging the stumps as well. What's he dealing with?
More sweeping going on, and now that'll go into the bucket. So we never did use the mallet, but just shoveling up the dust, and away we go. And Stuart Broad has got no right to complain about the footholds anymore, because that's a perfectly finely honed operation.
I'd like to know the stats on Ben Stokes' catching over the last couple of years.
I know a man who knows.
I think he's dropped a lot of chances. Taken some brilliant ones.
He's caught some good, yes. He's particularly good off the spinners.
But I reckon he's dropped as many.
29 for 2. And we've got Abid on strike on 16. And Broad, with a lovely new landing area, is on his way. The lead 136. In he goes, bowls, and with a bit of an oomph into that shot. It was just not simply a defensive shot, but he actually followed through a bit. Abid plays the stroke to mid-on, where Archer fields. Tosses the ball to Anderson, who's rubbing some sweat into it. And now the umpire's down, having a look at where Stuart Broad's following through, making sure that he's not too close to the line of the stumps.
Since the start of the 2018 English summer, Stokes has, according to CricViz data, dropped 16 out of 52 chances.
Goes Broad, bowls, and that's beautifully played. Abid Ali getting well forward. Go for a quick single. Oh, well, actually go back again as Archer got there very quickly, pouncing from mid-on. And a bit of an argument now between the batsmen, arm waving, a bit of gesturing going on.
So he's caught 36 out of 52. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trouble is at slip. You've got to be so careful as what is a chance and what isn't, haven't you? What is categorised as a chance, and that's a high number of drops, you'd say, but what is a drop at slip? It's a pretty ruthless business.
Real high quality slip fielders don't drop that many.
No.
Graham Swan didn't drop so many.
Ones that went so fast.
They still caught them.
29 for 1. Broad on his way. Bowls. This is played firmly by Abid Ali. Out to Sibley at cover. That's a surprising height.
That's a lot.
But then he's there a lot, and so chances go there, don't they?
But he's there because he's he's a very good catcher. So
yeah,
I do think that's a lot of drop catches for a player of Ben Stokes' quality. Abid Ali looks a player that could frustrate. He's got an offsidey game. He likes playing square of the wicket on the offside, particularly off the back foot.
Broad over the wicket, bowls, he drives a beautiful stroke. A horrible misfield. That will get a glare.
Who's that?
And Stuart Broad can't quite believe that. And it's Jimmy Anderson, who's, I'm not sure, even got a hand on that. And I know they're good friends and everything else, but I don't think there'll be much of a word between them now as Broad walks back and Anderson's got to walk more or less past him. I think he might be completely ignored here. Interesting if the ball comes back via Anderson, which I think it might well do. Sibley's got it.
I reckon that's the first time in my life watching Jimmy Anderson that I could say he looked quite old. That's the first time I think I've ever said that about Jimmy Anderson in the field. He looked a little bit like Mohammad Abbas fielding that. Well, that's not a great compliment.
There was not any word spoken between them. He had to throw the ball back to Broad. It's a horrible piece of fielding for someone who was so good. Broad again. Bowls on middle stump. And Ali's forward, plays it back to Broad, looks a bit grumpy there, and hurls the ball back past him.
Can you ever remember looking down and seeing Jimmy Anderson thinking, ooh, that looks like an aged fielder?
Well, it happens to us all. But Jimmy was a terrific fielder, wasn't he?
He still is.
Yeah.
Until then. That's what I was surprised by. It's like his back needed a little bit of a wheel to get down. Square leg going on the boundary. I wonder if this is a bit of psychology to get into Abid Ali's mind.
He's looking very comfortable on the front foot. 31 for 1. He's on 18. Pakistan lead by 138. Broad runs in, bowls, and the opening batsman tucks that away to that gap now mid-wicket. So Archer concedes the single. He'll keep the ball because he'll continue from the far end, the Anderson end, and Jimmy wanders off looking a bit thoughtful, coming down here to fine leg, walking very slowly. Yeah, a little world of his own down there. 32 for 1.
Tricky that, isn't it? Not so many with the bat, playing his favourite reverse sweep. He reviewed it straight away out of anger.
Reverse sweeping the googly, it's an interesting decision for a left-hander.
Yeah, well, I don't think he knew it was the googly. That's the first thing we should say. But he missed it and he reviewed it quickly, just out of anger. And then the drop catch has got him in a bit of a grumpy state, and he's just misfielded one.
32 for 1 then, and we've got Archer from the far end running in, bowling outside the off stump. And Abid Ali wearing number 60 allows that to go by.
That fits through nicely. That was 85 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Went through nicely.
Archer slowly back. There's still a lot of play left today, 40 overs after this. I'm not sure we'll get all of that in because we can go through to 7 o'clock, but not beyond that. Archer. Up he comes again, past the umpire. Ball's just short of a length. He's on the back foot this time. Fielded by Sibley at cover. There is still the man out at deep point. Actually, 7:08 tonight, is it? How does he get to 7:08? Of course, we lost 8 minutes of rain, didn't we? Of course we did. As the rest of the country basked in some.
Well, it was just trying to cool down Manchester. It was that hot. The northern weather got to look after our own.
Thermometers exploded over in the east. In comes Archer, bowls a bouncer, and Abid Ali's underneath that. 32 in Melton Mowbray.
Yes, as your wife has let us know. She'll be on probably her third or fourth bottle by now.
She could not be. Serious trouble. 32 for 1. All slowly returned to Archer. Not sure there's much event. It's supposed to be an entertainment evening this evening.
Well, I heard a whisper.
Well, I worry a bit about the quality of the entertainment because I gather there might have been a resignation involved. 32 for 1. In comes Archer. Bowls and is played away off the back foot. Square out to Poper's busily rushing round to his right. He will stop the second run. So 33 for 1. As I understood it, Isha was sorting out the food and Alison was supposed to be providing the entertainment, but I think she's resigned.
Had you heard any kind of hint of the entertainment? Or
No.
There's a table tennis table, and there's a dartboard.
Yes, but that's not, we've done that before.
Yeah,
it's got something different.
Yeah. The standard's been raised.
It has. The slips are quite close. Archer comes in, bowls outside the off stump, and Azhar Ali allows that to go by. Well, she certainly, I'm not sure she's resigned, but I think she's now
stepped aside,
saying it's not her responsibility anymore, which is more or less the same thing.
I'd say it is exactly a resignation.
So let's find out what's going on.
And the start time is it 8 o'clock, 8:30?
I think it's flexible. Ukulele available? Ask somebody. No, it's not. It's all practicing.
Have you brought it?
Oh yes, we're practicing hard down there.
What are you practicing for?
Nothing really.
Right. Okay.
Archer bowls outside the off stump, and through it goes to the keeper. 33 for 1. The lead 140. Happily, there's no one in the next door room to me, I don't think, this particular
spare room is there,
so I can twang away to my heart's content.
Well, my next door neighbour was Phil Tufton. It's now Alison. Alison's on the balcony next to me. Ian Ward from Sky to my left.
Right.
Usually have Tuffers. He's a question of sporting this week.
Yeah, we're missing Tuffers. He'll be on duty.
Yes, I think
next week. I think. Well, I've got Isha on one side, but the other one's definitely all clear, so I'm not going to annoy anybody there. It was Carlos's. Please have a little. You should have a plaque on the door, shouldn't
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Carlos Brathwaite stayed here. Well, there's a change of bowling, which means that the clock is ticking round, and Simon Mann is ready to come in from behind. So yes, Don Bess coming on, Michael.
Well, this is an important spell for England. We saw the leg spinners do some damage for Pakistan. There was some nice amount of turn for the leg spinners. Generally get more purchase than an orthodox off spinner, so I wouldn't expect Dominic Bess to get the same amount of spin. It's a good chance for him to get a few wickets. Short leg a slip, mid wicket on the boundary. There's a 45 on the 1. That's Stuart Broad for the top edge sweep. Mid wicket in tight, mid on, mid off, extra cover, backward points. So this is a good field. There's no easy singles. Generally an off spinner that comes on, we've seen have cover point on the boundary, but it's in on the 1, which is good to see.
Bess's first ball of the second innings bowls to Abid, who's back into his stumps, playing to short leg, and there is no run. Well, the spinners for Pakistan today took 6 wickets, 6 of the 10 that have fallen in England's first innings, and actually most of the wickets that fell today. And struggling in this game. Here is Bess bowling, driven into the offside, picked up by Sibley at extra cover, and there is no run. Well, he needs some support. Didn't get much in the first innings, mainly from Josh Buttler behind the stumps. 2 drop catches off his bowling and missed stumping. Bess to Abid. Abid back into his stumps, playing defensively, stunning it. And Pope comes from short leg to pick up, and there is no run. England under pressure on this very warm afternoon. Bess spins himself a catch and moves in past the umpire now to bowl to Abid Ali's there on 20. Similar shot to the ball before.
Have you really just said that?
What's that?
You just said this very warm afternoon.
It is. Abid defending that one
Finally,
into the
you've come to your
offside.
senses.
Well, it's just something I noted. They haven't all been warm, Michael.
They have recently, last couple of days.
Best bowls. Oh, and that goes to short leg. Oh, just wide of short leg. And Bess, his hands on his head there. A suggestion of inside edge onto pad. Although Abid seemed to be suggesting something else. The replay will tell us. It's why it's so good to have a DRS, because I always thought these were the hardest for umpires. The bat, pad, bat.
Just flicked his glove.
Yeah.
It's sharp spin and bounce.
He went behind the wicket rather than too short leg. This time he slog sweeps high in the air. Could well be caught by Woakes. Should be caught. He's underneath it. He takes the catch. Abid Ali's gone on the slog sweep, and Bess gets a wicket in his first over. Well judged by Woakes, coming in for the deep mid-wicket boundary, and Pakistan are 33 for 2.
Well, I think the coaches of Pakistan and the captain will be absolutely furious with Abid Ali. There's no need. Pakistan controlling the game. There's a fielder out on the deep mid-wicket boundary, and he's tried to... Well, he'll say that he's tried to sweep the ball, but it looks to me like that shot, he's trying to hit it over him. That's an horrendous shot in the situation of the game. The spinner's first over, and he's gifted him an early wicket.
Just what he wanted. And not necessarily in the way he wanted it. I mean, he'd love to, as you say, take one off the glove, go to short leg, something like that, but you take anything.
I'd go straight to the hotel if I was him. I don't think you want to be walking into the dressing room. That was an appalling shot. And Babar Azam, can he calm the situation now? Because England have got a chance here, because you could easily, Pakistan lose 2 more, 50 for 4. You've got Rizwan at 6, Shadab Khan at 7, then you've got Yasir Shah at 8. Another 17, 160 for 4, that's the lead. They've just got to focus here. Maybe they're dragging Pakistan in with their body language, because they're not looking like they're buzzing around and they're energised and they're chirpy. Maybe they're just double bluffing a bit.
I don't have stats for body language, but looking at matches in which a team batting second has trailed by between 85 and 135, so putting England's 107-run deficit sort of in the middle of that. In matches in England, that team trailing has won 3, lost 19 and drawn 24. That's roughly in line with the global percentages. So teams in the situation England were at the end of their first innings have won about 1 in 7 that have ended in a positive result.
Here's Archer going into bowl to Pakistan's captain. He bowls a short one. He ducks underneath it, and there's an appeal for a catch behind, possibly with up periscope. The ball flicking the bat on the way through. Didn't look to be much in that, to be honest. And umpire Kettleborough is unmoved.
I'll just clip the helmet. Let's have a look. Maybe just glance at the helmet. Not too sure.
The bat was up, but it was a long way from the bat.
Yeah, this is when you want Jofra Archer to really start charging in, don't you?
Yeah.
If you're at mid-on, mid-off, Stuart Broad, you should be just whispering to Jofra, come on, Joff, can you produce one of those spells?
Well, 2 Pakistan's best players are in now. As the captain, Archer bowls him edged. Oh, and that goes between first and second slip. Now, was that a chance, or did it drop just before Stokes and Root? It was right between them. It's gone for 4. Stokes shaking his head at first slip. It's a no ball as well, so it wouldn't have mattered.
I reckon it's catchable. It's low, and it would have been a tremendous catch, but I'm pretty sure it went in between them at catchable height. Look, the replay's on the screen. It would have been an incredible chance, really. Stokes would have had to dive across and probably take it with that left hand. Yeah, he'd have to have gone really low, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Archer bowls. Azhar's in behind that, playing defensively up towards mid-on, and there's no run. Azhar with those 4 runs goes to 12, and Pakistan to 38 for 2 with the 5 runs, the one for the no ball and the 4 runs as well. So their lead is creeping up, 145 those matches in England where a team has won with a deficit similar to England's, presumably obviously Headingley last year, New Zealand here in 2006, that might well have been one of them. England had a big first innings deficit in that match, and that is the highest successful run chase on this ground England brought off in that game against New Zealand. 294 I think it was.
Rob Key got a few runs in that game.
Archer into bowl to Azhar, and Azhar plays that firmly back on the front foot, picked up by Archer off his own bowling, and there is no run. How many could England realistically chase in the fourth innings of the game now? We've seen Bess turn one sharply already to Abid Ali, hit him on the glove, possibly on the chest as well. Yasir, Shah and Shadab taking 6 between them.
I think anything 225 they'd fancy.
Archer rolls to Azhar, turned into the onside towards Broad, who comes in purposefully from mid-on to pick up.
I mean, realistically, anything 200 and below around that score, England would fancy it, but it'd still be difficult. Anything beyond 250, I mean, the history tells you that it's going to be very, very tough, but because of what happened at Headingley last year, I think we all think, well, it could be possible once again, which of course it could, but I think anything around 200 they'll fancy.
Well, it's 145 the lead at the moment. Archer bowls, Azhar's up on his toes, pushing that away towards mid-off, and there's no run. Email from Claudio. As I was cycling my local park in Chelmsford, I noticed a chap running in 30 plus degree heat, and to my absolute amazement I realised it was Sir Alistair Cook, sweating heavily. Poor chap. Are you sure it was him?
No, it can't be him.
It can't be him. It shows what an amazing professional sportsman he is to be exerting himself in such hot weather. Very impressive. And also worth saying the Bob Willis Trophy resumes tomorrow. Every ball of every game available on the BBC Sport website and app. Archer bowls very full outside the off stump, dug out by Azhar, looking for a single. It's not there.
I think Claudio might have got the wrong night.
You might have done.
The night we know does not sweat. No. You were sweating this morning, Simon.
Would he have been in Chelmsford?
Yeah, it'd have been. Are they playing at home tomorrow at Essex? I haven't checked on the schedule of the Bob Willis Trophy.
The 3 games where a team with a similar deficit to England have overturned that deficit to win a test in England. I did the Headingley test of last year, and they were 112 behind, off being bowled out for 67. Lord's test against West Indies, another curious game. England 133 behind, and then skittled the West Indies for, I think, 51 was it? Michael, you were playing in that game, weren't you? And then chased
around that 57 maybe.
Chased down to win, and then against New Zealand the previous year they were 100 behind on first innings in Edgbaston. I think it was the out game.
Oh, right, Alex Tudor's game. So what was the deficit in the New Zealand Test match here then, when England won by 6 wickets, chasing 290? Best bowls. Forward goes Babar, his first ball of the second innings. Played beautifully in the first innings.
Simon, Essex are at home tomorrow, so Claudio could have been
could be.
Right. Yeah. I'm guessing he would have been right. I don't think he'd have made that up.
It's the sweating, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a little bit of the problem area.
Best bowls. Forward goes Babar, pushing the ball back down the pitch. Bat and pad close together. 38 for 2. Shah Masood out for 0. Abid Ali for 20.
I think Babar Azam out here inside his first 10 runs. I'm going to have got a little sniff.
Bess. A slip and a short leg bowls to Babar. Babar back into his stumps, playing up the onside of the pitch. And there is no run. Babar Azam's record in England international matches has been good. 50 in the first innings, 50 in the Lord's Test match. The last tour, retired hurt. Good in the last summer in white ball cricket. Babar's forward there, thick outside edge along the ground, rolls out towards backward point, and there is no run. The other issue here, of course, is if Bess could get Babar, what a lift to his confidence that would be, getting rid of one of the best players in the world. Root turning to Bess quite early. Forward goes Babar there and playing it back down the pitch, and there's no run. This is the 16th over, so he got a wicket in his 14th over. He's attacking his 14th.
So far Babar Azam's getting a great lesson. I mean, He's making batting look so simple because he picks length so quickly and then he smothers the full ball, and when it's been short he's gone right back.
Bess bowls a shortish delivery and Babar clips it away for his first run towards Woakes along the ground, deep mid-wicket. Woakes, who might have been surprised as anyone to have that catch coming his way in the last Bess over. Okay, over bowled. Bess 2 overs, 1 for 1, 39 for 2. The lead is 146 for Pakistan. Azhar has 12 and Babar Azam has 1. Danny Payne says, my brothers and I, Stuart and Calvin, were supposed to be treating our dad Malcolm to a day at the test today for his 70th birthday present. Instead, Stuart's still in Brighton, Calvin's in Sheffield, I'm in Montreal, and Dad is listening in Yorkshire. Can you please wish him a very happy birthday from all of us? We'll have to make it up at Old Trafford against India in 2021. Well, let's hope so, and a very happy birthday as well. Yeah, it's frustrating. I think of some of the cricket we've had in this match already, and it's deserved a big crowd. I think Shah Masood's 100, Babar's batting in the first innings. Pope's batting yesterday. Pakistan's bowling. It's a thrilling final session yesterday. Pakistan's steaming in. Here's Archer going into bowl to Babar Azam, very full, dug out by Babar towards cover. Sibley comes in, there's no run.
Just again, I'm just looking at England's tactics here to Babar Azam. It's just so orthodox. We saw him have a couple of problems with the short stuff into the armpit. Twice in the first innings, Jofra looked like he'd got him. Just wonder whether it's worse than being really aggressive to someone like Babar Azam straight away. Short legging, square leg on the boundary.
Archer to Babar outside the off stump, no stroke. And it's through to Buttler. I can see the fourth umpire poised with a box of balls down the boundary edge. Whether England think the ball's gone out of shape, I thought actually if it had, they would have asked for the fourth umpire to come on straight away.
That test you're asking about against New Zealand here in 2008, New Zealand 381 all out with 154 by Ross Taylor. England bowled out for 202. Then Monty Panesar took 6 for 37. New Zealand bowled out for 114.
Archer bowls, Babar drives, goes to mid-off and there's no run. Oh right, so that didn't get into your little spread there. It was too big, that deficit.
Yes. And then England 294 for 4, century by Strauss.
I remember that game as a captain. I remember the pitch started to spin hugely for Monty Panesar, and Peter Marin was the groundsman, and I went to see him on one of the evenings. I said, what are we doing with the rollers? And he said, just put heavy roller after heavy. I said, won't that break it? We said, no, it'll flatten it out. And it flattened it out and we chased it down comfortably.
Archer in, and he squares Babar Azam up there. He sets off for a single, Babar, and he's sent back by his captain just as well. Burns was closing in from the gully region to his right.
It's a Monty Panesar 6 for 37 in New Zealand's second innings, but then Daniel Vettori 1 for 111, another great left-arm spinner from 35 overs as England won comfortably in the end.
It was the great wind match, that one. Wind roaring down from one end of the ground to the other, up and down the pitch. The pitch was positioned differently in those days. Archer in, and that's beautifully fielded by Burns in the gully, diving away to his left. Babar Azam playing away from his body, trying to guide it down towards the third man boundary for 4, and it would have been, but for that excellent piece of fielding from Burns. Hit very firmly with an open face by Babar Azam. And quickly as well. Burns actually wringing his left hand. 39 for 2. Archer is not tried out the middle of the pitch against Babar Azam yet. Into him now, and Babar forces that away off the back foot. There's a man at deep backward point. He's running round. Ollie Pope stoops down, picks up, sends in the return to Buttler, and Babar is back for 2. He goes to 3 at the end of Archer's over. He's won 4 overs for 9, and Pakistan are 41 for 2. Their lead is 148 after England were bowled out today for 219. Michael Vaughan has gone. Azam Mahmood is here.
Yeah, it was just a right shot from Abid Ali. Normally he's very good player against spin bowling, but I think it's rush of the blood to make him play this shot.
Well, it was the ball early in the over that really turned and bounced, just made him think about trying to get after Bess. But I don't know, it's a strange one really. It looked such a tame dismissal.
Yeah, it's a strange dismissal. Normally, he dominates spin, but not on the first over. He just hasn't seen the bounce and the pace on this pitch, and it was rash shot.
This is Azhar on strike to Dominic Bess. Moves in now and bowls, and Azhar hits that firmly, slightly uppishly into the onside towards straight mid-wicket, where it's picked up by Burns. Azhar batting on 12. He's got a slip and a short leg. Bess is still that man out. Chris Woakes in front of the red rose suite away to our right on the deep mid-wicket boundary. Bess goes in again now to bowl to Azhar outside the off stump. Azhar leans forward, guides it into the offside. That was Shadab. They've been running through for a single there.
Yeah, Azhar is not the quickest around, so maybe Babar and Shadab was there, so they will take the single. Or Shan, they're the fittest guy in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Scott.
There probably wasn't a single there. It was the right call, but they still would have pinched it in the first innings the way they were playing. A bit short from Bess, turned away by Azhar into the onside, wide of Burns at mid-wicket, and Woakes rushes in this time and prevents a second run. Azhar goes to 13, and Pakistan to 42 for 2. Situation in the game where Pakistan can close England out here with a decent partnership. 2 more wickets and England will feel they've got a bit of a chance, but the lead is it's nearly 150. Bess to Babar, who's forward, full face of the bat, back down the pitch, picked up by Bess, and there is no run. That was 58 miles an hour from Dominic Bess. Talking earlier, Azhar, about Yasir Shah bowling at about 51, 52. It's some perches on this pitch, and that one turns from Bess, fired through outside the off stump, and it turns. Babar let it go. It's close to off stump, taken by Buttler. Definite spin there for Bess.
Yeah, because a lot of rough there to work with. Now you can bowl a bit quicker, so that's fine. I was talking about in the first inning when there's no footholds there, and now there's a lot of footholds.
Bess bowls a full toss, and it's sliced away by Babar Azam. Missed out there completely. Sliced away to backward point where it was stopped by diving Anderson.
See, when Yasir got the wickets and he was bowling on 51 and 49, that's sort of pace he was bowling at. So that's where in the first inning. Now a lot of footholds we can see on outside the leg spinner. So you want to get more purchase, more revs on the ball to get spin and bounce.
So best bowling at 58 is fine for this pitch now.
I would like him to bowl at 54, 55, but occasionally
just a bit slower.
Yeah.
It's going to be Archer to continue from the far end. And it's Azhar Ali who's on strike. We did see Archer discomfort Babar Azam in the first innings, but so far we've seen none of that. And it's Azhar Ali who's on strike. This conventional field that England are adopting for their right arm pace bowlers. 2 slips in the gully. First ball is pushed away by Azhar towards mid-off, and it's stopped by Chris Woakes, who's doing some loosening up exercises, so it might not be long before we see him. Which end, I wonder if we're going to see Woakes at Archer's end, or whether he's going to take Bess off.
Big responsibility on captain's shoulder, because when he's playing well, he can give confidence to the whole team.
Azhar waits, bat raised, Archer goes in, bowls to him, forward goes Azhar, and he pushes that back past the stumps at the non-striker's end. Broad has to chase it back towards the straight long on boundary, and they trot through for a couple of runs. Well, these are Pakistan's 2 best players, aren't they now, Azhar and Babar Azam?
Yeah, Azhar, especially when he's playing well, he's hitting the ball, this last delivery towards long on mid-wicket area. That's where his balance is right. If you see the first inning, his head was over off stumps, then that's where he missed a lot of balls. If he's hitting that area, I'm very confident his balance is good, his head position is fine. Where's the ball coming from?
Where are his weaknesses?
We saw a couple of next top of off stump on the fourth to fifth stump.
Archer bowls to Azhar. That's on Midland leg, turned away comfortably by Azhar Ali. He's back for 2. Bess is after it, and that's all they get.
So that's a great example. When he's hitting through mid wicket and mid on area, that means his balance is absolutely perfect.
Azhar goes to 17. and Pakistan to 46 for 2. The lead over 150 now. 153. Is there a problem with the ball? Well, England think so. They chucked it to the umpire, and I think he's put it through his metal hoop and said, there you go, get on with it.
That's typical bowlers thing, you know, when nothing happening, we always check the ball to the umpire. So have a look, you know, it's out of shape and it's not doing all sort of things.
Yeah, I'm going to get that ball changed if you can. Here is Archer rushing into bowl to Azhar. Azhar clips that away off his hip, but straight to Bess at forward square leg that time. And there is no run. Still bags of cricket left in this day's play for Pakistan to build that lead, or England to force their way back in. Over 2 hours left.
Plenty of time left in this test match. And
there's going to be a result, isn't there, one way or the other, unless something remarkable happens. I can't see what that remarkable thing would be, to be honest. It's going to be Pakistan or England, and the way it looks at the moment, most likely Pakistan. Archer. It was a short ball, and Azhar Ali tumbles over there. Wasn't that far away from rolling onto his stumps.
Oh, yeah. That was nasty delivery by Archer.
It was one of those low bouncers or skiddy bouncers, and he had to get really low, and he tumbled back.
He was very lucky not to touch the stumps with his foot.
He lost balance and fell backwards, and I think he was conscious of the fact that he could roll back onto the stumps. He put his hand down just to almost push himself away. Last ball of Archer's over. What does he come up with this time? Full or short? It's full outside the off stump as it leans forward and lets it go through to Buttler. So end of the over, 46 for 2. Pakistan's lead is 153. Azhar 17, Babar 3. More from Azam Mahmood, and then Dan Norcross is going to pick up the commentary.
What I pick here from Azhar Ali, his balance is absolutely on spot on, hitting the ball through mid-on area, and against spinner, he's playing the ball really late, let the ball come to him, and then point through mid-wicket area, playing with the spin. We're going to see Chris Woakes here, first time in this second innings.
Short spell from Bess, wasn't it? 3 overs, 1 for 2. Andy, I believe you're sitting on some Azhar Ali recent form stats.
Well, yes, he's had a bit of a rocky patch recently. He scored 100 against Sri Lanka in December, but prior to that he'd been out 9 times in 13 innings in single figures. In all, in the last 3 years he's averaged 28, whereas in the previous 3 years and 25 tests he'd averaged 58. So he has had a bit of a lean patch for a while, but looking good so far today.
It's a bit curious what's going on out there, I think. I thought when Chris Woakes took the catch to dismiss Abid Ali off Don Bess's bowling, England had, they're behind in the game, but it was 33 for 2 then, and England would have thought they'd got out the opener, got 150 odd, and they brought Babar to the crease, and that would be an opportunity, perhaps a little window, a door is ajar, but there's a real lack of sort of intensity out there at the moment, and maybe it's suffused intensity, I'm not sure. Woakes is running away from us. That was the first ball of his spell to Babar Azam, that's pushed into the offside. There's no run.
I think England are looking to take a wicket, but I think in Pakistan point of view, this partnership is very crucial because, as you know, yes, Shadab got runs, but under pressure is Mohammad Rizwan is there. He's not played enough test match cricket and inexperienced there, and then you go to tail. So these two are very important for Pakistan to get to a good, decent total for fourth innings.
Which is sort of why I would expect there to be more, sort of more chatter, more noise out there, more intensity. As Woakes is in, and Babar just defends. Glorious here, push defensive drive that Broad chases after. His sun hat flies off. It goes through sort of wide mid-off for extra cover region. They come back for 2, 48 for 2. I just thought it was noticeable when Woakes took the catch that it wasn't, thrown up in the air or anything of that sort. He just rolled it back, and I don't know. Maybe they're focused, concentrating, but
maybe intensity is missing there. By his last shot, it's just a pure timing. It just a defensive push went for 2 runs. Excellent timing.
Everything was right about it, wasn't it? There was no risk at all. Played it very contained fashion, but he still got 2 for it. Great placement. Now Woakes isn't happy with the ball. They're determined to get this ball changed. I remember, I think it was at Edgbaston last year, Australia were really struggling with England's batting. They just couldn't take a wicket, and Pattinson got the ball changed around about the 55th, 60th over or so, and the replacement hooped around. It did so much, and that's what England may be hoping for here, but the umpire's having none of it. He's tossed the ball back to Woakes.
Sometimes happens, some balls swung more than the other, and this ball is doing nothing for them, and they want to change this ball.
And it's not happening. They're not getting any joy on that front. Woakes is in, and Babar lets that go. That's really close to off stump, and it would have hit it. It wasn't left on length, that was left on line, and it was mighty close to off stump. See that again, and it's cut back as well.
Very close,
low
very
to
close.
Buttler.
Look at the seams. He was looking to this ball to go away from him, but the natural variation hit the seam and nip back.
Yeah, that was a perilous leave, but a good one in the end. Woakes in, and Babar defends, jumping slightly, and then they think of a run, and as you could probably hear on the microphone, he was sent back with some force and energy. It's picked up in the covers. There's no run. 48 for 2. Babar Azam has 5.
You always hear Babar, even when the crowd is there. There's no crowd here, but you always hear Babar when he say yes or no.
Yeah, it was very noticeable, that one. It's particularly more noticeable, I suppose, because we do have this empty cabin here. As Woakes runs in, hair flapping, right arm over the wicket to Babar, edges and is taken. Stokes takes the catch at second slip. England have got their 3rd wicket. Babar Azam, the big one, has gone for 5. Pakistan are 48 for 3, and England really are nearly back in this. Another couple of wickets and they really would be back in this, and I just wonder if we're going to see an upping of intensity now. He just prodded at that. It was a ball, beautifully delivered ball just in the channel outside off stump, and Babar went for it quite firmly, got a good thick edge, and where Stokes had dropped one already in this innings, he moved across to his left and took it comfortably with both hands, and Babar Azam was a little annoyed with himself. Pakistan 48 for 3, Azhar.
Yeah, big wicket for Chris Woakes and England. It was excellent delivery, right on the channel, and Chris Woakes was spot on with his line and length and getting wicket on his first over.
He's really come good in this last few test matches, especially here at Manchester. He seems to enjoy bowling here, or he has done this summer. I'm really looking forward to seeing a replay of that, because he bowled almost the perfect, the best ball in the first innings, I thought. It just wonderfully it angles into the batsman, and then it holds up. His seam position has been terrific, and that is a massive wicket for England, potentially.
He's been a terrific bowler for England. I rate him so highly because of his wrist position. Every time he bowls, wrist behind the ball and the flick of the wrist, which he always does something with the ball. Any condition he plays, yes, people are talking about, he's more successful with the Duke ball in England condition. I think if you have that ability, like look at the Mohammad Abbas, he's successful all over the world. If he gets something like that and doing these sort of things, look at the seam position. And it was a great catch by Ben Stokes. He's dropped early one, but this one he grabs it, and very important catch.
And it was quite low, that one, and that was definitely his catch, where before he'd sort of gone across. The one he dropped, he went across Joe Root. Root might have been able to get to that, but that was definitely second slip's catch, and Stokes has pounched it. New batsman in, Asad Shafiq, and Woakes has got a new batsman to bowl at. Here he comes, right arm over into Shafiq. Shafiq is defending slightly awkwardly off the inside half of the bat to mid-wicket. It's picked up by Ollie Pope. That is the end of another successful over for Chris Woakes. His first in this innings, 1 for 2, his first over. England bowlers getting wickets in their first over. Broad, of course, getting Shan Masood out for a duck. Bess, which over did Bess get his wicket in?
First over.
Yep, first over. So all 3 wickets have come when there's been a bowling change. That's either inspiration from Joe Root, or he needs to change the bowling every over.
Chris Woakes at Old Trafford now has 22 wickets, average 18.9. Difficult game against India in 2014, 1 for 80, but since then 7 for 108. Match figures against Pakistan here 4 years ago, and he had a superb series, 5 for 76 and 6 for 107 in the 2 matches against West Indies, and now 3 for 45 in this one so far.
So, can you tell me how many matches he played outside England?
Bess has come back into the attack. He's replacing Archer from the Anderson end. So, as I imagine, Woakes was on to have a proper spell, but the effect of that has been that they can also switch ends for Bess. And he's got Azhar to bowl out with a forward short leg and a slip, backward point extra mid-off, a deepish mid-on, mid-wicket, a backward square leg, Jofra Archer, and a deep square leg. Bess comes in, and Azhar returns this ball off his hip to Jofra Archer. Just wait to see the signal. It was a leg by. It came off his pad and rolled down to Archer in this backward square leg position. Get a run, 49 for 3.
Don't Bess change his end, maybe because Shaheen Shah was bowling from this end and got more rough there, or maybe Woakes want to bowl from this end.
Of course, because the left armour had been bowling from our end, the Statham end, so a little bit of rough maybe outside the right-hander's off stump as Bess comes into the new batsman, Asad Shafiq, who pushes at this ball and it goes past his outside edge into the gloves of Buttler. And there's a bit of a smile teasing across Ben Stokes' face now. There's just a little bit more energy and belief. My word, that was close to the off stump. It just went straight on. It didn't turn as much as perhaps Shafiq was expecting it to. Neatly taken by Buttler. Here is Bess of just 3 or 4 paces. Shafiq gets one bounces. He just has to play it into the ground to backward short leg where Pope picks up. Run.
That's a very tricky time, you know. The first one went straighter on and this one spun a bit. So if he hits the rough area, we'll spin a bit more.
Played it really well. They got right on top of it. No chance for Pope at forward short leg. That's in again, driven without real timing. Out to the covers. It's fielded by Dom Sibley.
Asad needs to be careful of this against off spinner with the patch hitting against the spin.
That could be the issue. He wants to keep bat and pad nice and tightly close together because there's enough turn here. If Shafiq is a little bit loose, could turn one back between the inside edge onto the stumps. There is Bess bowls, and that's played awkwardly into the offside of the front foot by Asad Shafiq. There's no runs, but the tidies up.
That's the straighter one, I think.
There's a little bit of glove on that as well. There's bounce occurring now. That's got the handle of the bat. And here comes Bess to complete his over. And Shafiq just tickles this round the corner. He's going to get at least one as Archer pursues this. He will come back for a second. And with that, get off the mark. And the Pakistan 50 comes up there. 51 for 3. The lead 158. Azhar has 17. Asad Shafiq has 2. You can watch the wickets and all today's other action on the BBC Sport website and the app, of course. Go to the text commentary being done currently by Amy Lofthouse, and you can see video clips embedded. And today at the test, of course, BBC 2, 7 p.m, or on the iPlayer with Azam Mahmood and Mark Rabrakash, Alison Mitchell, Michael Vaughan, Simon Mann is on. Always a delight. Always dresses up well for the occasion, I find, Simon. Woakes at the top of his mark, 2 slips in a gully. The point field is quite deep, so now he's being asked to come in, which I think is probably the right move. An extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a long leg. Woakes, who's just taken that wicket, potentially crucial wicket of Babar Azam in the previous over. He runs in to Azhar, who defends into the offside, wants a single and is sent back instantly. It's just a back of a length ball, played well, safely, but there's stuff happening again. It's that test today, and they lost those 3 quick wickets. They were 12 for 3. Azhar's on his feet. There's a genuine sense of tension in the box. I can feel it, Azhar.
Yeah, it is. And
you're pacing if that's possible. With the headphones
I've been
on.
sitting around in the bathroom, so I'm gonna stand up.
I like it. Woakes in. And Azhar clips this off his pads. It's a straight ball, and he clips it down to long leg for a single. There are more oohs and ahs now. There's just a feeling, a sense that the game has built up to what is a foot.
I'm lucky I'm not in the dressing room, Pakistan dressing room. My hands are sweaty. Yeah. It's just like, I've seen these things happen before. When we were good, we are really good. When we're bad. So I don't want to see that again anymore. Please, guys.
Well, I'm afraid it isn't up to me, Azhar. I'll do my best for you, then. Woakes in. It's clipped away again. Nicely, beautifully. Square of the wicket by Asad Shafiq. He should get 4 for it. A great diving attempt out there on the boundary by Bess is in vain. It was really well timed. He hit it completely square, dead square, pretty much straight at the umpire.
Easy picking for Asad Shafiq. It was just leg stump delivery. He's a very strong player on the onside.
Turned the wrists on it beautifully, timed it fantastically. Bess made a valiant attempt, but now there's a change in the field. What have we got going on out here? We've got a deep square leg. Is that deep square leg really for that ball? Because you don't sort of imagine Chris Woakes necessarily trying to bounce somebody out on this surface. That's not really his game. So
I understand what they're trying to do. They put the square leg back to save the boundary, got a mid-wicket there, so they're going to bowl stump to stumps here.
Yep. It's going to go straight. It's going to aim at those stumps, and it's got Broad's now gone a bit wider at mid-off as a result. Woakes is in. That's again on the pads, but easily tucked away down to deep backward square. Throw comes in. One more to the total, 57 for 3, Pakistan.
It might be tailing a little bit. If you see the shiny side, he was putting the shiny side inside. Maybe hint of a reverse swing here.
Looking at Chris Woakes' records home and away as a requested at home 84 wickets, average 22, away 25 at 51. Signs of improvement last winter though, 4 wickets in the second test New Zealand and 3 in South Africa.
Here he runs away from us again. Balls, and that's beaten the bat. There's a huge appeal. I didn't hear anything. They like it to the slips, but I didn't hear anything. I think that went straight through. Are they thinking about? No, they're not going to review. It was a beautiful ball to Azhar. It was right there in the channel, forced him to play, and he poked at it, but he didn't really get that close to it. That's wonderful. That has gone like a leg break on pitching, miles away from the bat. So I don't know what they heard. Absolutely miles away from the bat. I think it's a good sign though for England, because it's an enthusiastic, if ludicrous appeal. Woakes in, that comes back in, and again there's an appeal, this time for LBW, but the ball's too high. It thuds into the knee roll or just above of Azhar. End of the over. A good probing last couple of balls, and as Azam Mahmood was saying, clearly the line of attack to Azhar is dead straight. 57 for 3, 22 overs have been bowled. We welcome back Vic Marks. That's delightful to see you.
Well, game's getting interesting.
Getting up again. I was talking to Andy off air just before I came on, and we were a little bit bemused by how the game had felt like it had gone a bit quiet. And even when Bess took that wicket, which seemed like an important wicket of Abid out the deep mid-wicket boundary, there was no great celebration. And I think when Babar was out, a bit more, and a bit more of a huddle, and they got together, but it got a little flat, strangely. And now with Pakistan 57 for 3,
yeah, well, maybe they're just being clinically, coldly, patiently, like assassin.
Yeah.
But Woakes, some serious deliveries there, but he immediately passed the outside edge. He said, no, that's not out, when they were getting excited behind the stumps.
It was a glorious ball, but it had done very, very well to get an edge on it, because it absolutely fizzed away from the bat. Dominic Bess starts a new over from the Anderson end, and he's in. Shafiq works this up to mid-on. He wants a single. He does it brilliantly, actually. It was a tip and run. It was completely...
and
they're going to get an over throw. As a throw comes in from Root, I think it was, and they weren't backing. It wasn't a great throw. Buttler couldn't take it. Stokes couldn't stop it as he moved from his position at first slip, and Archer had to tidy up. Well, this has been a feature of Pakistan's cricket. When they've been in a little bit of trouble, like they were yesterday, and
worked quite well, didn't it?
Yeah, Root's quite deep at mid-on. Shafiq's still on strike as he comes forward in defence. The next ball from Bess just plops it down in front of him, and Pope picks up at short leg. 59 for 3. Asad Shafiq has 9, Azhar 18. These two have played so much cricket together. They'll know each other's games. And we could be in for a bit of entertainment here as Bess trots in into Shafiq. He works it to mid-wicket where Rory Burns does the fielding. Bess rubs some sweat from his forehead onto the ball and shines the ball. A ball that England were very suspicious of a moment ago. I'm not sure they'd be quite as suspicious of it now. Here is Bess. Shafiq works this to mid-wicket, but Burns is very alert and moves to his left of field, so prevents that single that they got in the first ball of the over. It's a very telegraphed single, really. He just came at the ball and pushed and rammed. This occasion, Burns is there, eagle-eyed. Extra cover and mid-wicket could be crucial this moment. Bess in. Shafiq gets one that bounces on him. Takes one hand off the bat and it goes down in front of him to sort of where a silly point might be in Buttler Fields. Look at this again. That has bounced and it's got his gloves. He played it really well.
Off the glove, though, yeah. Took his glove off the bat quickly and it went down. The forward short leg on the leg side.
He's had to do that a bit off Bess, hasn't he? There's been a few balls that have bounced on him.
The pitch is dusting up a bit.
Bess in, sweep. 4 ball, 4 runs. It was just too far down the leg side and Shafiq latched onto it and just helped it on its way really down to the boundary. 63 for 3 at the end of the over, the 23rd of Pakistan's innings. Azhar Ali has 18. Asad Shafiq 13 off 14 balls. He's only just arrived there and he's looked busy as drinks come on to the field.
Well, I think Pakistani batsmen, by and large, like to be busy against the spinners. Traditionally, they've played a lot against spin, and they like to impose themselves on them. Not necessarily with big hits, but getting off strike. We saw Shafiq there come down the pitch, pop it to mid-on. He was halfway down the pitch anyway, so he was always going to get in. And they want, in this situation, where the pitch is helping, the ball is gripping, they almost want to make the bowlers try stuff. When the pitch is helping you, as a finger spinner or any spinner, you don't want to try and be too clever and bowl too many variations, because the pitch is your ally. So the big thing is to just get it down on that length, in the knowledge that one might pop, like we saw one pop and hit his glove. So you just want to be ruthlessly on that spot. On a flat pitch, that's the time when one might marvel at various spinners changing the flight, bowling quicker, bowling slower, bowling wider, doing all sorts. But on a pitch where there is assistance, the best spinners really are just relentlessly on target, giving you no peace, no easy runs, trapping the bats, but then something is going to happen. So I'm just wondering a bit about that last delivery from Bess. I think he was trying something slightly different, a bit low arm again, a bit wider of the crease, but it was just outside leg stump with pace on it, and Shafiq just helped it along very fine and got an easy 4 runs.
There's plenty of bounce out there for him. If you're just joining us, let you know what's happened today. England were bowled out. They hung on manfully for the first hour and a quarter, and it was really, really difficult batting conditions. And as the conditions eased slightly, they then lost their first wicket of Ollie Pope. It was a terrific ball from Naseem Shah that spat on him, and he got the shoulder of the bat was caught at gully. It was a crucial moment, as it was when Jos Buttler was out shortly after lunch to a ball that just went straight on and bowled him. There's a bit of flurry at the end from Stuart Broad, took England up to 219 all out and gave Pakistan a lead of 107. Shan Masood departed the second over of the innings, 156 the first man to have such a distinction in this country against England.
Oh, well, for any team.
For any team.
Yes, any 150 team. Then a duck. We have had a duck, then 150. That was back in 1880.
Which is marvellous.
Is that before Cricket Info then?
Well, Cricket Info has that. They just don't have the ball-by-balls.
Thank you.
Ball tracking stats and things. That was Billy Murdoch, an old teammate of yours.
I'll make a note.
Pakistan then went on relatively serenely until the first over of Dom Bess, when Abid Ali suddenly decided that he was going to impose himself on the spinner, played a massive slog sweep, hit it way out to deep mid-wicket, where Chris Woakes took a very comfortable catch, and then the wicket that England will want every time they play Pakistan, I think for many years to come actually. Babar Azam was caught at slip in Chris Woakes' first over by Ben Stokes, who dropped one earlier, moving across to his left, pouched it two-handed. At that point, Pakistan were 48 for 3. They're now 63 for 3. And Azhar Ali and Asad Shafiq are together. Andy Zaltzman has...
I mentioned Chris Woakes' excellent record against Pakistan and tests in this country, and it's particularly so against these two batsmen.
Woakes is in, and gets one to swing towards the off stump, but it's played well by Azhar Ali as he pushes it into the onside. He's picked up at mid-wicket. There's no run.
He's dismissed both of them 4 times. Azhar Ali scored 69 runs against him for 4 dismissals, and Shafiq 66 for 4. So Woakes has been very good against 2 high-class players.
Woakes, top of his mark. Nisha's arrived. Woakes is in, and this is left alone outside the off stump by Azhar Ali. Goes through to the keeper. There's no run. Do you do the switcheroo now, or do you want to do it at the end of the over? I'll tell you what. I'll do it after this ball, because then that'll be the optimum time. You just and I think Andy's got an emergency stat ready as Isha twirls her microphone cable. It's all happening in here. This is the entertainment we're going to get later on, isn't it? Tonight on Guhar night.
He's just opened his emergency stat book. Look.
Here is Woakes into Azhar Ali. That's all defended but awkwardly by Azhar. Again, he's getting good away shape as Chris Woakes. I'm going to get out of the way. Either we've got an Andy Zaltzman emergency stat, or we've got Vic Marks. But either way, next it'll be Isha Guhar.
We'll go for the ES.
We're talking about Ben Stokes' dropped catches. He's now 37 caught, 16 dropped since the start of the 2018 summer in terms of catch percentage of fielders who've had at least 10 chances. He's 38th out of 48.
As Woakes bowls to Azhar Ali, struck on the pad. Falls on the leg side. Half a peel from England in the slip cordon. He might have got some bat on it, actually.
He's causing some problems. There's been a lot of oohing and ahhing out there. And he's opened him up, hasn't he?
Yeah. I was interested to see how much movement he would get. He came on in the 20th over after the spinner. And you're right, he has got significant movement here, Woakes, as he circles at the top of his mark. Running away from us here on an angle to the Pakistan captain. Struck on the pad, that is out, that is plumb. Full and on the stumps, looking to work it through mid-wicket, Azhar Ali. And I mean, he's going to confer with his partner, but
he's got to go. Unless he's hit that, he's got to go. I think he'd be wasting a review. And indeed, he has seen sense. After he got hit on the pad and given out, he thwacked his own leg with his bat in sort of self-disgust. Had a quick chat with his partner, who confirmed, I'm pretty sure, very correctly, that there is simply no point in reviewing that. It's hit him about 4 inches up the pad. And it's going to hit, I'm sure, I'll tell you very shortly, probably middle and leg. There you go.
Yep, you are absolutely right.
Well, keep him on.
Ball tracking, I know. Absolutely. Chris Woakes, outstanding again. Azhar Ali goes for 18, 63 for 4 Pakistan then.
63 for 4, it's intriguing. What is peculiar to this match, in a way, is that both sides have got the sort of lower middle order that could disappear in about quarter of an hour. Shadab, Rizwan is next, isn't he? Then we get down to Shadab, who batted really well in the first innings, but quite frenetically. And after that, anything could happen. And it's a bit like that with the England team.
Asad Shafiq, though, is a fairly solid sort of cricketer. Got 7 in the first innings and will be wanting to prove himself in this one, even though he has done well against England in the past. Just want to hold things together a little bit. Rizwan, like I say, he's a busy sort of cricketer. Woakes is going to stick with 2 slips and a gully.
He was almost falling over there, Azam. I mean, that ball, its virtue was its straightness. It was actually half volley length, but he'd fallen over and he was trying to clip it on the leg side, and he missed it. And he's been in some very bad positions prior to that against Woakes, who seems, as Andy pointed out, who's got the evil eye on Azhar. But it's not huge movement he's getting, but he's causing problems, Woakes, more than any of them. And he's got 2 for 8.
And his average